Hello everyone and welcome to another Steel Division 2 stream. So today this is a special one, as all of you have seen in the title or have seen in previous announcement. Today we're going to cast some special games. This is the charity tournament that David has organized in the FBHQ Discord. And I've been asked to cast this live to, get more audience in and hopefully get some people to donate. So, yeah, just, sit back, lean back, enjoy the show, and if you like what you see, donate. Link is in the description down below. The organization, the charity that David chose was Action Against Hunger, which is a good thing. So, yeah, a few people have already donated, mostly participants or caster, but I'm gonna regularly, between the games, I'm gonna just check the list and actually thank people by name so that we also give them a little shout out. But yeah, so as I said, consider donating, but you can of course wait up and see if you actually enjoy what you're going to see. So we have four, let me just show you the bracket real quick. We have 4 games now for the quarterfinals, and it's going to be some interesting ones, some spices. We know about some of the matchups already. We don't know about all of them. Now, here's the thing. All of them are going to be best of one, or all of them are going to start roughly around the same time, so in the next couple of minutes or so. Although one has already delayed from what I can see in the chat. So we can only watch one of them, and then we get the replays afterwards. So between the quarterfinals and the semifinals, we might get to put another small, shorter game in, or if the first one we choose is a short one, we can still watch one of the other ones. So hopefully we get 2 games of the quarterfinals. Tomorrow are the finals, are also best of 1, unless the 2 participants want to do a best of 3. So if they choose to go for a best of 1, as it is per default, I will instead cast some of the games that we have missed today, because again, we can't watch all of them at the same time. But let me find the brackets real quick so that I can show you. There we go. And let's switch the scenes. Hello, Son of Civic. Nice to have you here. Oh, are you David then? But yeah, that's great that you get some shout outs going as well. Because I mean, yeah, people should be praised for that. So all right, let's hello Grim Guy, nice to have you here. All right, so let's quickly switch over so that we can oh no, I can't see it. Well, it's just how it is. So here we go. You should now be able to see. Hold on, something's not working. Give me a second. Oh, there we go. All right. So you should now be able to see the brackets. So we have Gonzo versus WF first, as well as Kerb versus Morbrook, Yupaz versus Lizek, and Mamil versus König. So these 2 I would consider very iconic and classic matchups at the time of this recording. So they have been playing against each other a lot, very often. So these 2 are 2 very classic matchups. Then here we have the 2 strong newcomers, although that's not really true anymore. They're not newcomers by now. I think they're pretty much part of the usual group. But that's kind of what both were, the really strong newcomers. And then here we have Gonzo, the master of masters, and WF, who's also quite good. I don't really know what to call this matchup, really. I'm sorry. Now, I would suggest we watch one of these 3, because those to me look like the spiciest ones. And so we know these 2 are going to have some delays. I wouldn't start with those. Now, here we will have 43rd Reserve on Maverick versus 1st SS Lazar on both Maverick on Slutsk East. That's going to be an interesting one. And this one is going to be DBSAS versus 9th Panzer. I think V for victory. Versus Maverick, yeah. So Koenig's going to be playing Maverick on DBSS. No, not necessarily. Actually, I don't know. Both of them like to play Maverick. I don't actually know who plays V for Victory. Maybe it's Koenig, because Koenig, I think, likes DBSS on... I don't know. Let's see. I need to double check, but I don't think we have that information, actually. I think we just know the incomes, but we don't know. No, Ninth Panzer is on V for Victory versus DBSS Maverick. So that's how it is. I'm just going to do a quick poll, then you can decide which of the two you want to watch. I just got pinged, so I assume it is about to start. Okay, also got a deck from Curb, which is quite nice. I can only share it with you if they start. When they start, sorry. But I will consider doing that as well. But yeah, so we can take a look at some of the divisions that I have a feeling. I need to switch back to Steel Division. There we go. All right, let's do the quick poll. Which of those you want to prefer to see? We have Moorbook versus Curb. I don't have that many characters that I can use, so... Okay, I can put the matchup in there. So we have Miel versus Koenig with DBSAS versus Panzer. And let's see if we get any other updates so far. Not yet. I'm just gonna pause that. Delayed. All right, there we go. Polls out. So you can still vote for your Panzer versus Lisek, so I will try to watch that after the other ones have started. But I would start with one of the other ones anyway. So this is just to let me know whether you want to see them, or whether we should switch to them afterwards or not. Yeah, let's see. We Stan Yapazia. Well, not Stan, unfortunately. That's also a matchup that we've seen a few times. Which was no money to Gonzo, please. He can probably retire with all his... Well, he's not going to win any money. There's no money on the line for any of the players. It's really just all that is collected. Links in the description down below, by the way, is for charity. There is no prize pool or anything. There will be for the next league again, probably. So there, there we can have the no more money to Gonzo. No one's starting yet. Someone said, I'll bet my house on your Pazo. That's a strong start. But yeah, so for those of you who have joined, the poll is which of those you want to see first. Assuming that they roughly start around the same time. Your Pazo versus Lisek are delayed, so the question is rather should we switch to them or not. But yeah. So at the moment, everyone wants to see Mill versus Koenig, and I can't blame anyone for it. It is such an iconic matchup. It's always a delight to see. And with those two, it's really like there's just no knowing of how long it's going to go. It's true. This is why by the way, I didn't include the Gonzo versus WF. It's possible that one goes long or is interesting too, because WF is a good player, right? It's just because of skill difference, it doesn't mean that WF has to lose or has to lose fast. But with either of those three, I have no idea how it's going to go. We have no idea how the game itself is going to be played, not just in terms of who wins, but also anything else, how exactly it goes. So it's always fantastic. Same is for your Yapaz and Lisek or Moorbook versus Curb, by the way. Like, all of them are excellent players. So you never know what you're going to get with those. Like, they're going to play well, generally speaking, but how exactly it's going to work. Oh, one important other thing that we should mention, by the way. For Gonzo goes full union WF pulls through. Well, that is true. I mean, we're gonna have to wait. It is very realistic. I haven't even thought of that option, but now that Grim Guy brings it up, yeah, there's a very realistic chance that Gonzo goes with some meme picks. He likes to do that a lot. But anyway, so Mimilo's Kumbero is in Harashai, Mulpukwa's Curb is on Ursha East, and we don't know about any other matchups as of yet. Another thing that I do want to add is that they're only allowed to play a B tier divisions, and I can also show you those. So this is using Koenig's tier list with two notable exceptions. So this is Koenig's tier list, as you can see. And they're only allowed to use these divisions. I'm not really sure if B plus is included as well. I don't think it is. I think it's just B tier. And the only two divisions, it might be B plus actually, but what is definitely, no, I think it's B plus as well, because I think 97 has been excluded and KGV has been excluded. The other ones are all on the menu, but what we're not going to see is like the top divisions. They are not allowed to be played, which I think makes it a little bit more interesting, because we're going to see some of the divisions that we don't always see. It's always very, very nice to see. So let me just double check if there have been any news on games starting, because I would assume the first ones are going to start soon. No news yet. Unfortunately, I can't share with you the deck of Mulbrook versus Curb just yet. So Curb sent me his deck, which I would be happy to share once the game has started. Regardless of whether we're going to watch it or not, it's always interesting to see how people are playing, building their decks. But I can't share it with you for fairness reasons, because Mulbrook could be watching the stream. I don't think, you know, he on purpose would try to get a glimpse on it, but I can't risk it. It looks disgusting in some ways, so I can tell you that much. Koenig said 15 to 20 minutes at 2011. Oh, did he? I haven't noticed. So that should be basically now-ish. Plus minus 4 minutes. Alright, let's have another look. By the way, what you can expect here while we're waiting. I saw someone have picked 43rd Reserve. I thought that this was really one-dimensional. It is. Well, it is and it isn't. It is a weird division, let's put it that way. We can take a quick look. Let me... First of all, let me switch back to the Steel Division one, because if I don't switch to Steel Division, you're not going to have any sound. 43rd Reserve. Oh, I do have a build. This one probably needs adjustment too. It's probably not a good build. Yeah, I would not take the Commander. But you can ignore that for now, as half of my builds I don't play very often, so some of them are very outdated. But here's the thing. It is kind of one-dimensional. There's not that many ways of building this. However, it has a very weird... It's one of those weird divisions that have a lot of long-range power. I think we have all these IS-2s. And then you have all the good CQC. And there's just not that many maps where this is good on. However, you do have something like the KV1. You do have some T34, some regular ones, the 76 version, and you do have the T3485 version. So in some matchups, this can be very strong, even at mid-ranges, just because these are so hard to deal with. And the IS-2 against something like Western Allies, or some, not a lot of, but some Axis divisions, can really work very well at mid to close range, weirdly enough. Not close enough that you get ever in bazooka range, because that's very dangerous, but this thing can really block out a lot of Western Allied division, and as I said, even some Axis division. So this is a very weird division that you have to find a specific way of playing with. It is, I personally can't really describe it, because I also can't really play it all that well, but it's a very unique thing that is, you know, how I say, it isn't really one-dimensional in some ways, but as you pointed out, this one, the air type is massive, and you kind of have to use it. So in that sense, it is maybe one-dimensional, because you do have to do air spam with this one. Because here's the thing, you don't have a lot or good AA So you need to get the air superiority, and you need to keep the skies clean. Now, here's the thing. For that, you would need to use artillery, which you don't have a lot of, and it's garbage. Like, look at this. Neither of these are super good units. And you kind of need artillery because you need to keep, you need to keep the AA of your opponent at bay so that your air force can really come out and do work. Which means that one of the only things that is left for you if your opponent has good AA is to really air spam your opponent so hard that his AA is just overwhelmed. That is kind of... that is the one way in which this division is definitely one-dimensional. This much I do have to agree on. So you kind of have to go air spam with it. All right. So let me catch up in the chat. My pin 43rd is a sleeper. I want to tournament match with it due to infantry not dying. I wouldn't call it a sleeper. The problem is, even though the infantry is good, it is only good at CQC. And you need to find a specific playstyle to play around it, and you need to have the right map and matchup to make it work. But it can struggle on a lot of places. The ATO is rough. Yes. All right, Curb is deploying. Everyone wants to see Koenig or Milo, so I would say, but those two are next up. So I would just say if... Oh, your pass is also deploying. No word from Koenig. I'm going to wait another 4 or 5 minutes or so. In the meantime, we can look at the divisions that Koenig and Mimil are playing. If anyone has joined and not voted yet, but wants to, we have the poll at the moment, which is for which matchup you want to see, because obviously we can't see all of them and they're all played around the same time, as we can see by both, by Curb and the Apars are both deploying within 3 minutes after another. Let me check if maybe the two have not announced it. No, Koenig and Mimil not yet deploying. I mean, we're not going to miss it out. We can still catch up. But if they're not going to start in 2 or 3 minutes, we're just going to go with the second most voted for. So vote for whoever you want to see. And until then, let's quickly look at DBS and Nice Panzer, because we're not going to see those very often. So, where's DBS? Yes, let's start with that one. Koenig, of course, had to find a French division. And here it is. So, this DBSAS, definitely not a super high tier one. And an interesting one too. So they're playing on Harashaya, where this infantry can work depending on the matchup. Some matchups better, some matchups worse. You do have some spammy light armor in A phase, but really not a whole lot to support you. So that can definitely be a bit of a problem. And then your infantry is very weird. So you have these guys, which for 15 points double Bren, you have smoke, they come in a fast transport and have command. It's not that bad. You know, it's not a particularly good unit. 6 strength is not that great, but the commando kind of boosted up a little bit. So that's nice for an opener. You have some Makizar, which after strengths, they have the weaknesses. There's pros and cons for this kind of unit, but it is a nice thing to have overall. Like, it's a good unit. Then you have this thing, which honestly for 25 points is all right. Neither of those automatic rifles are particularly good, but is something that you have. You also have these guys, which you only can B phase, but those for 25 points in my opinion are quite all right. You get an MG34 and you get an FM. 9 man, it's decent. They could have AT that would make them better, but they don't. And then you have the Chasseur Para, which, you know, those things do slap. This at CQC adds a little bit more, and then you have some gun bombs. So that is overall a nice thing to have. It is, you know, it's kind of like the MP44 units, and it is quite junky, so that there's strength in that. Some leaders, you have a lot of Piats on both of them, by the way, so that is not an issue. And then you get in C phase, you finally get some armored rifles BAR, which are not the best, but it's not the worst units. You also can get these guys, but really, there's no reason to ever take them in this division, in my opinion. And of course, you have the leader, which can come in with the 50 cal half track, but those guys can't. So that's just that. And this is really like, this is the main thing about this division, in my opinion, the infantry tab. There's other good ones too, like the air tab. And here you just have some, you know, snipers out there, cavalry scouts from B phase only. This thing as well, which is not that fantastic in my opinion. But, you know, all things that are here. You have some captured French tanks until C phase the Americans arrive. None of those are bad tanks, it's just that you don't get any good ones in A phase. Now, this one is a little bit underwhelming. You should probably take these out and put them in, but, you know, we're not here to judge my build. You can judge it while you see it. I think there's another one that needs adjustment. You have a lot more Piats over here. You do have good AT options. Otherwise, this thing is quite well suited to deal with light armor as well. So it's another nice thing to have. You get some Hellcats. Is it only? No, it's 2 cards, yeah. Quite decent as well. AA kind of sucks. Artillery kind of sucks. You get this thing and then these guys, which are really not all that good. And then some off-map, and then in C phase you get the American stuff. But you get a very scary air tab. From A phase already, you get some P-47s, which are very good. These guys, B phase, okay. Not sure how good they are. I've never actually tried them. You get this thing, which is quite good, and Koenig has found some very good ways of using this effectively as strafers, so I would be scared of this. So it's quite an interesting one that is definitely focused more on infantry, so you can see why it's supported by some weird armor air and other assets. So it's a very rare thing. Now, I do think... Oh, the rocket one is trash. Okay. Yeah, I personally don't like most of the rocket planes in this game. HE rocket, that is. HE rocket is an entirely different thing. There are some good ones, but for the most part, I don't like them all that much. There's people who say they're actually quite good. And, you know, it's one of those things where people prioritize different things, or maybe have had different experiences, and that's why you get some different opinions. But some HE planes with rockets are actually really not good, like on an objective level. Gonzo has just mentioned they're going to play 17th Division. I think he means the Finnish one, Divisiona versus Dunkirchen on Lenina. That's definitely also going to be an interesting one. I think Koenig is about to start his in-game according to the Discord. Well, that can mean he might still be building his decks. I think we just go with the second most voted fool. Because I think we've waited long enough, and everyone is joined to watch and not to wait. So we're gonna go with the second most voted for, which is Moobrook versus Curb, and I can share you now while we're waiting for the deployment, which is probably finished. Let's catch up first, and then share with you the beautiful build that has shared us. It looks disgusting. I mean, there's not that many ways you can build this division, so it's not like it's doing anything that we wouldn't expect anyway. So, but what that means to vote is that we're definitely going to return to Koenig and Mimil once we're done with this game, because everyone wants to see that one. So I think that is a fair thing to do. All right, or actually, so that we not miss it. Sorry for the bad quality, it's just a screenshot that I got, but this, as you can see in just a second, this is the build that we got from Curb. So, as we would have expected, quite CQC heavy. We do have some regular Strafniki in B phase, which is nice to see. It brings the leader. I don't remember what the loadout of this one is, but this one is actually quite chunky and can find. We do have the Chernos, which you kind of have to. You don't have that much line infantry. So Perry rocks in A phase, so you have some hybrid stuff there as well. Just a ton of CQC. Here's these guys for the closer ranges, which is nice to see. So we need some B phase. It brings the military police, which helps with the Chernos, and this one can actually fight. Like this one is a machine gun. It is, I think, 12 man or something like that. It's actually quite strong. some maxes to help out. Now, he doesn't actually take any 2kg other than SC122, which kind of makes sense in this matchup, because you know, there's the thing this division is going to face is Panthers. There's no 2k AT that's dangerous for the IS2, so you don't need that much 2k HE, which I think Herb has correctly identified, but we have a ton of CKC. So what my expectation here is going to be, he's going to rush in with these guys, then he just tries to get some good close range engagements with these tanks, supported by some of his CKC infantry, kind of clear the town, have, you know, infantry just for close range fighting, a little bit of long range, but most of the long range work done by the tanks, and then for the long run, just lock it down with CQC, because one of the most annoying thing is to fight your way through a town that has tons of CQC in every potential, like in every possible building, because these all have AT grenades, and it's just really, really, really frustrating sometimes. Now he has quite some AA, but Lessard I think is a good matchup for this, so I would assume he probably counterpicked, because Lessard doesn't have a very scary air force. So a little bit of AA is needed, but it's not that much. And then, of course, the air tab is very scary, and a lot of AT planes in here. Some fighters, the L2KR, so some things that are, you know, have quite some durability, which I think is very important here. So, let's catch up here now. Let's close the poll. So I've not forgotten about, oh, Jaime Mil. So since you two have been taking your time, we decided to go with this game first. And then if your game is still running, I'm just going to turn into that for watching. Or I'm going to watch the replay afterwards on stream here as well. It really depends a little bit on how long things take. I also don't know how long this game is going to go. Oh, it has started. So down south, just one unit in place to hold. Over here, defense deployment as well by Moorbrooke. Moorbrooke is opening strong with a Panther D, not something we see every day. Oh, he has an SX center. I was going to say no AA, but nope, there is AA, because the AT planes would feast on that 100%. I was trying to get in here, which is a classic, just to get his flag. Curb trying to rush in here and in here with some of his faster assets, the Maxims, the Saperi PPSH, and some M42s. Some armor coming in here as well. Oh, yes, of course, 50 cal half tracks. Was to be expected. Deployment over here by Moorbrooke. There we go. This is what we have to expect from Curb. Curb is a master of fast and aggressive openers, and he's using the fact that you get in here fast. Faster than blue, at least. I'm also going to release next week the map guide for Slutsk, which, you know, shares this road here and there. We have seen we'll see the exact same thing, but speed difference here. So Curb using this quite nicely, getting in here first, delaying things as good as he can. Okay, so yeah, if it starts in 10-15 minutes and this one is a fast one, we will switch right away. But that means your game, unless it's fast, is probably running. But still, when this one ends, I can still join in and spectate. So the fight here against the machine gun has been won by the Zaperi, the half-track, and some other things. Panther D is here, but there's not that many things to block off here. This is one of the reasons why this is a double-edged sword very much, because you can have a lot of success with an early Panther, but it's also an expensive unit. And if your opponent doesn't actually put many things here that the Panther can, like, that really need a Panther to deal with, then you just waste a lot of point base. Now there's still T-34 85 over here, so that, I guess, is in favor of the Panther. Tanko getting in here. Fight here happening, Saperi Rocks being stopped, but the T-34 is there, and the annoying Panzerschreck is now coming in to stop. That looks like the Panzer IV that was somewhere over here did die. Is that the Panzer IV? No. It's a transport. But it was shifted over here to deal with the half-track. Nothing really here to deal with that. There's a M45, but it is not in range. Saperi here's the only thing. Curb is just really good at this opener. See how he made a large push here, make it seem like a big thing, which is Saperi and a half-track. Note how he had a lot of success here with 2 Saperi PPSH. Now he's not holding the flag, but it's generated a lot of pressure. Same kind of things over here. Pak 38 is running the Panzer Pinilla. Oh, almost got killed by the T-34 there. Now here's the thing, can he throw the TNT in time? It did not, I don't think. No, it did not. So now the Pack 38 is actually really in danger. The Gepard can force off the Tanko though. And will do so, especially if these guys are on the move. Oh, but they're just moving fast to catch up. And they're going to kill the Pack 38. Or the half-track's going to finish it. Wow, very impressive. P3 tried to go in after the Panther, but the SDK Z72 was there and saved the day. Half-track pushing forward. The Gepard should win that suppression fight. Neither of those... Well, the Gepard can potentially kill the half-track. The other way around is not going to be the case. Or the Panzer full finish it. We're not going to see that. Alright, good luck to you, Mimil. Good luck to you. And just as a reminder for any one of you who wishes to donate if you enjoy watching these players playing for you, or not for you actually, but for charity, the link for donation is in the description down below. So don't miss it, participate. Panzerpionier Lazar is a nice double functional unit, it's a nice hybrid unit, but it is expensive, you know, 30 points. So losing that to a plop of Cherno and some tanks can be quite devastating and feel very, very frustrating. The Panzerschreck here is a nice position. It did kill the tank, I think. Yeah, it did. But it is in a very exposed position where the push from over here could spot and kill that off. So generally speaking, Moorbrooke is a bit of a disadvantage over here. Now, he lost that flag, but he got that one back. He's about to get this one back as well, which would put it on the third land for him, actually. But of course, the major thing here is this hill right here, which favors red side, because red side has an easier time securing this for itself. If red manages to force blue off the hill, it's basically goodbye for blue side, because blue can't really recover from that. Oh, there we go. T44 gets killed by a Pack 40. Yak 9 is coming in. The air spam has started. It kind of started down here as well, but yeah. And I love to see this movement around here to avoid the EA for as long as possible. Now, unfortunately for Curb, the EA is right here and not like somewhere over here, which is probably expected. So the Yak 9 gets forced off and the Pack 40 is saved. Is it going to spot the KV1? It is not. Oh, look at... Oh, the Panzerschreck is actually in a dangerous position to pop out and kill that KV1. But to go back to the topic at hand, so this thing... this hill here is quite annoying for blue side, because you can get pushed off quite easily. That's 2 flags for red. Then it's very hard to defend this one if you've lost the hill. So you're basically down to 3 flags very easily. And here, this one is easy to grab. This one you can grab, although red can fight from the hill over that flag, which is not going to make it very easy for you. And then here is quite deep. Same for this one. So you can... Blue has a realistic chance of getting 2 here. Maybe 3 here. It's basically guaranteed 3 if you get some good advantages. Now, on the other side, this right here is quite good for blue side, because blue has 2 flags here. If they can take the hill, they get these 2. And if you get this one, you know, this one is basically where you should usually get it. And then it's very easy to get this one and this one as well, because there's just no way blue can hold this flag, really, if you have the hill. And, yeah. That just makes this a very strong position for blue to be in as well, if blue can capture the hill. Now, unfortunately for Moorbrooke, unfortunately for Curb, this is where Curb is strong. So if the sides were reversed, I think it would be way better for Moorbrooke. Because Moorbrooke struggles more fighting over this, but having an early decisive win over this would definitely be possible with Lazar. Having the slow grind in here, I'm not so sure how well that's going to go. Now, that being said, the artillery on Moorbrooke's side is quite scary with the Nebels and such, so he may be able to clear his way in there later on if he can avoid losing the hill. And in the open, of course, the advantage is with Curb, since Moorbrooke has Orion Panthers and Nebelwerfers to kill those IS-2s, which we haven't seen yet. They're only coming in B phase, which makes sense, and A phase are just a little bit too expensive. Edge 18, can it kill the half-track at close range? The Paradox is supporting the Panzer IV, is not in position to kill it. IH-18 gets a kill. Panzerpionier is running. It did throw the TNT. Namco surrendered. IJ is now on infantry support duty. Panzer IV is in a quite close position. Gepard trying to force off the L2KR. P3 is going after Panzer IV over there. Fails to kill it. These are unfortunately not that good. L2KR doing some strafing. Quite dangerous. And there we go. S6Z72 is coming. As I was going to say, Moorbrooke definitely needs to start buying AA ASAP. So this is very important. Whenever you get air spam, especially with a division that you know relies heavily on air spam, as soon as you see the planes coming, you need to get AA, and you need to get a lot. So I think it would still be a very good call if Moorbrooke got like another AA piece in between here to support both these areas. I think that would be an excellent choice, because he's pretty much, even if he hasn't seen the deck, which of course we have seen Curb's deck, you have to do that. So this, I think, will be very deciding for the game. So Perry Roxy doing a lot of good work. Sean going to be a force back. Panzer IV trying to hold them off though. Are they ground attacking or something like that? No, they're stuck. They don't. Oh, front line is not moving, so it doesn't surrender. Third line for Moorbrooke, it is brought back to 1311. It was 1410 briefly. Moorbrooke getting this. There's only one BA10 here, which may be able to do some damage versus the Panzer IV or the Gepard. Well, if the Gepard, advances alone, it will definitely get killed by the BA10, but it doesn't affect the front line. These guys, though, are a very cheap way of actually getting that flag. The Panther D Elixir is out of HE shell, so it wouldn't need to be resupplied. Guerrilla would be the right tool to do something here. Nothing's happening at the moment, though. Neither player has yet decided to do anything over here, which would definitely be a way to open up the somewhat rigid front line here a little bit. SKT is now in for fire support, and this is a problem. So if things get a little bit stalled, and if the game stops being very back and forth, Moorbrooke's artillery can really win the day. Granted that he has enough AA to protect his front line. If he doesn't, and Curb can just spam his way in, it's going to be very dangerous. This is another important thing. If Moorbrooke doesn't show any initiative, if Moorbrooke doesn't show enough aggression, Curb will probably feel confident enough to just have a very thin front line and have massive waves of airplanes coming in. So you can just wait, save some points, build up a massive air force, and that can be quite devastating for Moorbrooke. So it remains to be seen whether this is going to be the case. Do you have AA coming in here in the center now? Not sure if Moorbrooke has any planes whatsoever. Usually SR can fit in one plane reasonably. 2 is possible. But more is really a bit of a stretch. Oh, but nothing here really here to cover the open. Major mistake there by Moorbrooke. Which means that, okay, one gets killed by the Panzer IV. Trades, though. Another one is coming in. This one is coming in too. So the IJ is out of heat shells. Panzer IV would need to pop out here and try to help secure things. Now, the good thing for Moorbrooke is, and of course, he doesn't know there's no AT. He probably expects there's some AT over here or maybe in here now. But 43rd doesn't have a lot of AT tools. So it is quite reasonable to expect that there's basically nothing there. Oh, transport snipe happening there. D-3045 is getting shot at by a grille, but it could snipe a transport, which is huge. Says the 85 AA gun can kill pandas pretty easily if you can get about 1500 meter range. Yes, it has the APCR for it. But the problem is, you first need to get into 1500 meter range, right? It's not that easy. Because your opponent is usually trying to stay at range. Panther D is shifted. Oh, to hold... Okay. Over here to hold the edge of the hill. Which Moorbrooke is losing currently. But he's doing... He's having... Like, he's making a good play here. He's staying close to the edge of the hill with some assets, so that means that he still has enough presence here that would allow him to push back on the hill if, his support tools can grind Curb down enough. The SKT is certainly working on it, and the units are now moving up. There's a Panther A over here, not really sure why, but this also means that this one is not needed. Oh, he's moving it again. I really, like, this is one of the things that I love about watching Moorbrooke. Like, Moorbrooke uses his tools very expertly. Watching Moorbrooke using his 2K tools is just such a delight. Like, he's really, really good with these. Most of the time, at least, that I've seen him. And this is one of those cases. It's also something that you see a lot with top players. They use their armor very, very efficiently, I would argue. Because they always move it where it's needed. They don't shy away from just moving a Panther through the whole map or something like an IS-2 to get into the best possible position where it really makes a difference. There we go, the first Nebelwerfer 210 coming in. It needs to be relatively close to the target if you really want to take it out. Ideally, you would have 2 of those, but with the 210, we're getting into the territory of you can, with one Nebelwerfer, kill a tank. But unlike a 300 mil, you need to have a little bit of luck. Over here, it would be, how shall we say, 2,500 probably. So that is reasonable. That is a range where the Nebel can actually do the work. IS-2 arrive to die to a Panther. Not really. I mean, the Panther D cannot really do all that much to the IS-2, unless the IS-2 gets very close. The Panther G is a different story. We just need to be at 750 mid range, but that's not an easy thing. So, IS-2 versus Panther is a good matchup for the IS-2, really. Looks like the fight here was won by the Panzerstrumpenier Saar, bringing another flag to Moobrook and bringing him a nice single tick once again, which in a mirror income is all you need. And there we go, the air spam starts. Curb has been saving up with 1 IL-2 KR. The best thing to... Oh, and it's going for that one isolated Panther, which is next to no AA. Major mistake there. There's no AA over here on Curb side, though, so if Moobrook has a fighter, this would be the time to send it in now and get on the back of one of these P3s. They're not that fast as far as I know. Actually, they're quite fast, never mind. That 2KR, though, would be an option. Oh, but they missed horribly. It's damaged. It is damaged, all right. But this one would have been needed. Well, some of these were pinned or stressed out quite a bit, which means they are usually less accurate. That can make the difference, but also we can't check now, but I think it's those with a relatively bad loader. As you can see, that's one coming in now. There we go. Now, Moobrook needs to do this both up here and down here. I think one SEK Z72 and then SEK Z1 should probably be enough for the time being, but it's still quite risky. Would you recommend a slow grind division? Like, what are we talking about? Now, tournaments or quick play, I assume. Like, or different question. Quick play in general, or more for a beginner? I think that's the big question. Or tournaments. Because the answer will differ, but for the most time, it will be. It depends, to be honest. But yeah, for what case specifically do you need? Do you mean? Nebelwerfer is targeting where the IS-2 used to be, but it is on the return fire, which, if you haven't known, you can put your artillery on return fire. It is especially important in a case like this with a Nebelwerfer, because it will aim, but it will only shoot when you turn off the return fire. So you can, like here, pre-aim, and then since you don't want to waste your precious ammo, you can just wait, and now he's retargeting. Exactly. And then when you're sure that your opponent, that the unit hasn't moved, you can release, because otherwise, you know, by the time he would have shot, it might have moved. On the burst, we've covered by the nebulous aiming. On the beginner end, I think. It is a good, so generally speaking, it is not a bad idea to start with a slow grinding division. But there's other, like, how to say, it's generally easier, in my opinion, to play this kind of play style and not going full aggressive early on, because playing aggressive the right way needs to be learned. It's a harder skill to achieve, in my opinion. Ultimately, to really master, I think both of them are equally difficult, but to get somewhat decent at it, for a start, I think the slow grinding one is better, especially because most people in quick play that kind of play style. So yeah, I think it is not a bad call, but it's definitely not a must. Like, it is perfectly fine to play a aggressive division early on. I would actually argue if you do... Yep, sorry. Showdown here, as was correctly pointed out. Oh, Nebel has been readjusted. I haven't... No, it hasn't. Kinda a little bit. Ooh, IS-2 is moving backwards, I could have actually screwed it up quite a bit, but it didn't move back into it in time. But yeah, so ultimately, if you generally like more aggressive playstyles, I would just start with that right away. It's better to start with what you want to play anyway and learn it correctly from the beginning. That's how I would go about it. But if you already know that a slow grindy way is good for you, or if you just want to, you know, have the easiest entrance to the game, the easiest start to the game, this is what I would recommend. I think slow grind divisions are okay. You just need to make sure that you don't have the most defensive tools in your division and at deployment, because that leaves you very, very little flexibility to react to what your opponent's doing. That's an important thing. I remember his life and had my entire deployment in Chiefs begin a tourney game. Oh boy. 12-12 now, with Moobrook having regained his 2 flags over here and Curb having regained his 2 flags over there. So not much has happened ultimately. Neither the IS2 nor the Panthers yet managed to kill each other, which is quite interesting. Gorilla is going for some... Well, you don't actually... Like, he can just manually attack the this thing. It doesn't have 2k. Ooh, IS2 had to go at the Panther D. But the Panther had... But the Panther had the luck of the IS2 being very stressed out, which makes it very likely to miss. Flag filling is here. We do have this thing advancing via a way that it probably shouldn't. Now over here the grind continues with the Shrimpany Lazar fighting the Strafniki. This is such a nice unit. It's just a Strafniki with an Fanatical, which makes it very annoying. And then you have... It's not the one that I meant. It's a good unit. It's a Strafniki. No, we don't. Okay, we don't have the one. I thought for a second it was the other one, the CKC one. Oh, there we go. The Panzerstrumpeni gets sniped. 81 mm coming in. So we have 2 sets of AA now. I think Moobrook should probably, since he has the time, I think he should invest into more AA. I'm not joking. Because Moobrook is probably gonna buy another plane at some point. Is he focusing one of them down? He's not. This is what would need to happen immediately. He needs to focus one plane manually. Now he's doing it. So that the AA doesn't waste time shooting at other planes. He needs one of those to die. If your opponent ever starts air spamming, you need to kill... You need to make sure that with every wave that's coming in, you kill at least one of the planes off, so that you can slowly reduce the amount of planes. If you don't do that, your opponent's going to have so many planes at some point that your AA just can't do anything. Now, you know, if they were going after this Panther, maybe they could have saved it, but yeah, definitely more AA needed. Over here, a blob of support and AT tools trying to fight off the Strafniki Officeri. This flag lost now, but this one regained for Moobrook. And a big wave of infantry coming once again. Not sure if they can hold up against these guys, especially, you know, if they just try to drive in. That is a very, very, very bad idea. This is the one. After Strafniki, this thing is absolutely nuts. 30 points, so not cheap, but it is a nice thing to have. Not a Nebel strike missed over here, by the way. Panther's going after the B8. No, the Gorilla did. No, the Panther does. Okay, so the Panther... The Gorilla did, and now the Panther does. This is what it is. Another Panzer Grand coming in for reinforcements. Definitely needed over here. Now, this would be such a juicy area for an artillery or airstrike. The SKT is going after it again. No, it's going after this one over here. I see on the hill too. Danger close. Yep. Yep. Yeah, this one is coming in. And that is a big problem, because that Panther 8 can't really win against the IS-2 at range here on the hill. So that means that Curb can very nicely support anything over here with his IS-2. Let's deal with half-tracks pretty well with their AT rifles. Yeah, German, like, non-50 cal half-tracks versus AT rifles isn't usually a good fight for the AT rifle. Not just the Strafniki. Even at single vet, they will generally do the trick. It's 50 cal half-tracks where that equation can change a little bit. But for the most part, it's a good fight. Panther D. Oh, clearly gets taken out by the IS-2. Can it hit the Panther D now as well? It has 2 shells left. So it soon needs to be resupplied. A big question, is it gonna hit? Panther D is on the run. Moobrook does not want to chase that fine. Do you think Zen 1 is in a good position? To me, it looks like it can't see anything by the hill. This one? No, this is in a horrible spot. It needs to be like somewhere over here. the problem is, I think Moolbrook knows that if he gets it closer, like he gets it back here, with the pressure that Curb had on the hill, like there were like some dangerous modes where it could have been spotted, so he has to have it over there. I don't think it would be a smart idea to put it over here, but for it to really do the work it needs to do, it would need to be over there. That's basically how it goes. Not a Nebel Strike. Not a failed killing attempt. I love that he has the leader with his eyes too. It is very damaged though. So another volley will probably kill it. We do see another Panther A coming. I'm very surprised that Moolbrook didn't take any Panther cheese, because that's what I would do in this matchup. I would definitely take the Panther cheese. It's 10 points more expensive than the Panther A, but it does have the APCR, and you know, especially in this like area here, there's definitely ways you can sneak around the town where you can get in the 750 meter range, which then allows you to use the APCR, which will pen the IS-2. And especially now that it's damaged by the Nebels, I think there's a very realistic chance that he's going to be able to kill that in one shot with APCR. Oh, there we go. This thing is in. This is going to absolutely shred this pentagram. And look at this beautiful thing. 10 PPSH and then 5 PPS 43. The PPS 43 is worse than the PPSH, but it is not bad. So this is going to do the work. Not a flag here for Curb. Bring it back to 12-12. Right over here, the slow grind continuing on. The Rozvetka, T-34, being quite annoying. No tank there on Moolbrook's side. Let's bring you more Panzer IVs. No more EA though, so it's quite dangerous. Now, one thing that needs to be set, going back to the EA situation, one thing that this can achieve, which can be good or bad depending on how you look at it, it means that planes can get closer, and then while they're circling, like they're getting force off later, and while they're circling around, this thing gets a full burst off. But it's not as deadly as the STKF Z71. So how much it's actually going to achieve, I don't know, but it certainly is something that can happen. It's probably not his main idea, but now he didn't bother putting them on return fire. Now he's going to waste 2 volleys as... No, he stopped one of them. Stopping the other one too? No. As the IS-2 is just pushing forward. So this is where the T-34, where the Panther Chi would now be useful, because you can after hiding in here, you could pop out 1750 meter range done. You can have a go at it. How much ammo does the SF left? It had 2 shells before. It has fired 1. It has missed 1 by the looks of it. And there we go. The air spam is continuing again. Is the A focusing on something? Oh, the STKF-72 died. Black Filling is targeting one of the P3s. No, I don't think it has. I don't think it will kill. Oh, no, it got the kill. Oh, this one had probably 2. It got killed at the bottom. Yeah, true. So more AA needs to come in ASAP. Because otherwise it's going to repeat. Leader legging it after the IC finally side. Yeah, oh, it is out of AT. It has AT though. I'm assuming it's going after the Kubel MG. Now this is where if... I think you can see usually what your opponent has. Like how much ammo. So he could see it. Now the big question is, I'm not actually sure. Let me double check. No. I just double checked the deck. Curb didn't take any ammo. Which means this thing is basically ineffective when it comes to AT duty. And I'm not sure if this is an oversight or if this was a decision made on purpose. But once they're out for good. Like they're not going to be useful at all. Except for 2k AT. And it's quite expensive to have... it's quite expensive to pay, you know, 200 points for that kind of 2k AT. Can IS-2 damage a AT damage chance? Yes. Oh, yeah, true. Maybe yes, supplying with his A. I think that was probably what he did. No, he didn't. Just double checked. No, I didn't see any supplies with his AA. I don't see any supplies with his AT. I really genuinely think he doesn't have any supplies. But yeah, so any HE can damage a tank. It's just that it doesn't do an awful lot of damage. So it is not the greatest way of doing it. This time the IS-2 hasn't moved in time. and the Nevils get the kill, and the Panthers all of a sudden are in a very dominating position once again. Yeah, it is a crazy deck. It's not as crazy as I would have expected when he sent it to me, because I expected him to have a very, very, very crazy deck when he sent it to me, but I didn't even notice it when looking at it. It happened to me once, by the way. I was playing against Curb. We had massive IS2 fights, and I was actually doing well, but then I didn't have any ammo left. Any ammo in the deck. And I even had the points left. Like, I just forgot to put it in. Because I was going back and forth on what to put in. L4 is shooting at... Oh, the Pack 40. First thing it was maybe going after the SQ sets and 1. Which is now targeting the L4. The L4 is probably going to go down here. This one is not really going to get that much... No, it's probably going to survive. This thing is not going to get enough shots off it. Yeah, I think Moorbrooke needs to think about moving this back now. Like having something over here to cut off the hill, to secure off the hill, and put it like more over here, so that at least it's not very exposed to this right here, which if you put it like here, you're more exposed to any pushes over here. Curb is 43rd Army Reserve. Yes, this is 43rd Reserve. The Panthers now doing some good work, being quite dominant over here. And over here we do have some Panzerschirm Penilsa. Now here's the important thing though. Moorbrooke will run out of CQC here before Curb. There's no question in that. So in the long run, Curb might still win this fight over here, just because of the amount of CQC. Panzer IV is now on the run. One of them got just killed by the T-3476 over there. Not a Nebel Barrage going after the 85 mil. I'm not sure why he does that. He could just move the guerrilla forward. Like, the guerrilla can directly attack this. It doesn't have 2,000 meter range. It doesn't have 2k. It says, Platypus says RT-HE does higher damage than direct fire HE. Yes, RT also has better damage coefficient. Okay. Yeah. But regardless, like, HE in general does not do an awful lot of damage for the most part. I think one of the reasons why RT and bombs are doing better is maybe it has something to do with armor thickness, because it's usually quite thin on the top. I'm not sure if this is a thing, but it's something I could imagine. I don't actually know if it works like that. Because you can, like, sometimes planes with huge enough bomb loadouts can one-shot a tank. But it usually takes more than a bomb that does 10 damage to kill a medium tank. You should need more than that. But trying to kill a tank with IS-2 HE is futile. It runs out of ammo before it happens, probably. Yeah, I would assume so too. This is also where Fanatic trait is so annoying there. Yes, it is. It is. It makes a massive difference. Well, unless the guerrilla can just waste the Shavniki officer. Well, look at that. Look at that. This is how... This is what an upgraded MP44 does now. And of course, 2 MG42s. Look at that suppression. Not IS-2's destroyed. Oh yeah, true. This one did go down as well. So I think Moorbrooke, looking at the map, I think Moorbrooke is going to take this. I do not believe that there's a way for Curb to really turn this around. Unless Moorbrooke runs out of things now, and Curb can air spam his way in. If that is the case, that is an insta game. That could lose Moorbrooke the game. I don't think it's the case. No, he's just shifting it. No, it's a new one. There's 2 SKF set 7-1s here now, and an SKF set 7-2. He needs to be careful about this though. He definitely needs to have some armor here to secure this off. Nebels now, this is a little bit too long range for a Nebelwerfer. It's going after the IS-2, which has been killed off anyway. Actually, this is very dangerous. This thing could kill off the entire AA over here if the Panzer A cannot stop, which by the looks of it, it can. I mean, 210, HE can kill an IS-2, 7 of them in 5 bursts, impossible in most of cases. Damn, okay. Well, I've seen Koenig strafing with the Black Widow as well, strafing a tank, so it definitely does happen, but it takes a lot of 20 mils to do that. Yep, T-34 suffered. The guerrilla just wiped another infantry unit. Moorbrooke can just hold. He can be happy with the single tick. Now he can actually do the grindy game. Ooh, this is a good target by Kerb. I think he's definitely learned from Koenig's airplay. This is exactly how you do. You go for things that are just a little bit far, like more to the front, where you can get in and out again relatively easily. Although flying this way is bad because there's more AA over there, but the turn in time to not really get all that much burst off by the SKS 7172 over there. So the Yak-9 makes it out. The L2 KR, oh, not so sure actually. No, never mind. Well, it's a slower plane, so no big surprise over there. Khalil now pushing forward, very ballsy. But it looks like it's going to make it. It's going to do a lot of damage over here. Is there a tank hiding it? No, it's just a tanko. So no armor here, no real range tool by Kerb whatsoever. Moobrook can just push now. He's very careful he's not doing it, but as someone just said in the comments, that's a GG. Exactly. Oh, hold on, that's Lizek, isn't it? Your game already over then? At least the profile picture looks like the one from Lizek in previous chats. 81 mil is now going after the tank. Once that's done, yes, it is Lizek, and yes, it's over. Who won? Actually, don't tell me. I wanna. If it's a short one, we can just watch a replay afterwards. If Koenig and Emil are not playing. Still, because that one is the one everyone wanted to see, so we're going to switch it afterwards. SK18 is also pounding that. Oh, 81 will got the kill on the tank, and there's just a slow build-up of forces here by Moobrook and by Kerb, but I think Moobrook is definitely at the advantage over here. It's a 21-minute one, I think, pretty short. Okay, so that is good, because that can fit in quite nicely, you know, somewhere in between, or in the end, which is nice to have for sure. So we have a chance of doing that later on. Also, just using that little moment of things going slower to remind everyone again that this tournament is being played for charity, and both the casters, Roy and myself, we are casting this also for charity. So the whole idea is, of course, to, you know, make some of you guys donate. So please, 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 if you enjoy what you see, and if you're happy with the performance of at least one of those two players or of the others that have played their games and which we're going to see later, please consider donating. The link is down in the description below. It is for Action Against Hunger, which is a noble cause, in my opinion. P3 flies in, gets forced off. And yeah, last IS2 coming. I forgot about this. I still need to get a soundboard for OBS so that we can have, when we have like tigers or king tigers, we can have the air horn, because I want to have that effect. And maybe some other ones. I'm not sure if it's going to make the cast better, but it's definitely going to make it more fun, I would argue. I want to have that thing when you have one of those fighting each other. Pre-aiming by Moobrook. He guesses that it's going to be here at around that time. If you can fall back whatever this thing is shooting at in time, it might actually work, weirdly enough. Or if the Kubel dies at that moment. There's one P3 circling down here. Interesting. Moobrook has such a command in the open that he probably can't. He can probably pincer the IS2. Yeah, I think realistically he can. Oh no, they're going off too early. Moobrook would have needed to fall this back. Oh no, the IS2 is moving into it. Oh no. That was very underwhelming. It is not really all that much. Well, the Panther can basically just chase it down and keep it pinned now. It's probably not going to pin it at max range. Never mind. Caster's Curse, I guess. Every time, you maybe remember this from Attack Power. Every time the caster says something is not going to happen, it will happen. And this actually reminds me of something that Emil once. I had a discussion with Emil about this, because you see that units are damaged, but we had a discussion about whether you see the difference of 2 HP versus 10, or in this case 10 and 12. No, actually 8 and 10. And really looks like you don't see it that much. So when it starts be like looking damaged, it apparently has already taken more than 2 damage, or maybe even more than 4 in this case, which is quite interesting. I didn't know this. I always thought that you would see more that increment, but apparently you don't. The problem is it's just quite difficult to test 2 damage. You need AT rifles and see, but how do you correctly confirm that they penned? It's not that easy with the damage as well. Incursion in the north. Oh yeah, Champagner Lassar. Look at how much front line this power this has. But I mean, Curb is slowly pushed back here. There's one tank here, which these can't really get past, but the Panzerfuhr should be able to. And the artillery is supporting as well. If the A keeps up, no air spam can recover save Curb there, but nothing can save Curb anyway, since he did just surrender. 38 minutes, 8 seconds. That's actually a decently long game. It was a long grinding game, but Moolbrook, I think, I think around the 20-minute mark, probably Moolbrook definitely had the lead. It looked, at the start, it looked quite dangerous for Moolbrook for a while, but Curb never really could secure the hill properly, and his air spam couldn't overwhelm Moolbrook enough. Moolbrook could hold on well enough where it counted, and that is a win for Moolbrook, which means he is going to proceed to the quarterfinals. But congrats to both players. It wasn't a really nice game, and you know, it's always nice to see 43rd Reserve because we don't see it very often. But unfortunately, like in most cases, it didn't do very well. All right. Yeah. Look at this. Look at this. Basically, from the start, this apparently did some good work. But other than that, look at how it did look like that on the map for a long time. I feel like, but Moolbrook definitely got very good rates. And Curb actually had a little bit of a comeback, but it is basically Moolbrook all the way, right from the start. Very impressive. I mean, Moolbrook has done fantastic. Like he really is doing what Curb did when Curb joined the competitive scene. He just rose up very quickly, and we've seen this with Moolbrook. I think he's kind of now reached probably the Senate, or at least it's slowing down. Like he needs to do more work now for sure, to really continue improving. But it's amazing what he has done. Now, look at that Panther D. It did a lot of work, and it did kill the IS-2. It survived. This was the first one. This wasn't the initial deployment. It survived. That's actually quite impressive. It happens rarely that units survive for that long. Another Panther here that did some work. I mean, the Panther Ace worked out. I was surprised. I wouldn't have done it like that, but apparently it was the right call, surprisingly enough. Now, this thing got a lot of kills, but I think that most of those were probably pinned. And some of them surrendered to the Strafniki, which Officeri, which are fanatical, probably just were killed eventually. And some of them probably were already low due to the shelling as well. But yeah, fantastic game. Let's switch over now to Koenig versus Mimil, if they're still playing. Yep, they are still playing. Let's watch this then. Right, let's quickly do a quick shout out to some of the people who donated if I get the link open. Give me just a second. All right, shout out to someone who anonymously donated 10 euros. Thank you very much. Witch Doctor and Paladin Leper. Thank you so much for your generous donation. Really nice. Paladin Leper also said, been away from the scene for a while, but I'll be back soonish. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to that. I mean, not next month. It's still January, but in March I will go back to League. So keep an eye out for that. All right, let's keep up over here. And again, for anyone watching this, please, again, if you enjoy what you see and you have some money to spare, even just $5, consider donating to Action Against Hunger via the link below, so that we can also see that it happened via this tournament, which of course is nice for us to see that it actually achieved something. And again, thanks a lot to David for organizing this whole thing and putting it together. We do see the Flampanzer movies. I love to see this thing. We never see this, and there's a good reason. It's absolute trash. But nonetheless, we should be excited to see it. Must keep Essence for life. I definitely agree. But yeah, Richard said this is going to be good. Both this favorite on this map. in my opinion. Well, I think both are, you know, this is not a bad map for either of them. It's not a top, like, they're not the top pick for this map. They're, you know, I wouldn't pick any of those if I was not restricted to B tier divisions. But I think it's decent map for both. But let's see. Let's see. Also, sorry if I'm a little bit quieter now and quickly want to... hold on. Let's slow this down first. I'm just going to let you watch in a second. I'm just going to quickly check if what the news are on the organization side of things. Because obviously there might be some... let's see if there's any news on the semifinals of any of them advancing. Not yet. We did get a replay from Lisek. Oh, Softball is not here. But we can check that out afterwards if we have to wait for the semifinals. If we don't have any waiting time for the semifinals, we can just watch that maybe at the end or tomorrow. Let's see. So Koenig making an unexpected move, but sometimes, you know, it's not that we never see it, but it is quite unexpected usually. Red side pushing here because only one flag that he can get. But this actually, you know, for Koenig, this actually works somewhat well because he has, of course, a lot of units with the Raider trait, which means they can hold the front line. And there's a lot of like close range tools which are quite annoying over here. So those can do quite some work over here. They unloaded the G33 Panzergren, which is a really nice upgrade to a regular Panzergren, but it doesn't come with any AT. There's a Panzerjäger 35R, which can do some damage, but of course he can't hold back all of these Bernard. Especially with the low armor that it has, so these can actually pen that into town. Koenig rushed in over here. He had the Saboteur in there, which is quite annoying to deal with. Over here with one single Sturmpanzer trying to fight against a Group FM, two Group FM, supported by a 2-inch mortar that can do quite some damage over there. Reinforcements are coming in for Koenig, 1410 for Koenig right away. Lysander's coming in. This thing has some bombs. They're absolutely useless. They don't do any damage, and they have the very annoying property of generally falling around the actual target and not onto it. For whatever reason. I've seen it multiple times, but it is a recon plane, and this is what Koenig probably wants out of it. And I don't think there's any other recon planes in AFS that are available. Might be wrong, but maybe there are. Over here, the Panzer Rush seems to somewhat work. They can definitely overwhelm the Banach here, actually. It's quite nice. Nice sniper from Mil forward 2. Oh, this one. Yeah, this is a very classical position for blue to put recon in. Nice that he'll immediately put it on return fire so that it actually doesn't get killed. Look at that, it worked. The Panach did get out. Oh, I probably was those, not the Flampanzer, which is quite sad. I was rooting for the Flampanzer, but still a nice move there. Oh, he's brought this little thingy there. It's quite cool as well. Chasseur being forced off before he can kill the other Flampanzer. Ooh, this thing bouncing some shots off the SPW. That's quite problematic, but it needs 2 hits to pen the SPW, and the SPW will just stress it out and will be finishing it off. There's one SS pit in a nasty position where probably more things moving past it could get killed, potentially Fertiland for Koenig. Focke-Wulf coming in after Lysander. That could be dangerous because that means when it's turning, oh, it despawned in time. Koenig could potentially have a fighter ready. No, he does not. That could get on his back. Air spam started. As we've seen, right at the start when we looked at the division, we only managed to finish the BSAS in time. We saw that Isaiah is not great, so looks like Mimir is trying to abuse that. And this thing is, I think it's 60 points. No, 50 even. It's 50 points. It has a small bomb loadouts, but while I generally hate on them, they're not as bad on bombers, like fighter bombers. And especially on the Stuka, it's very good because the Stuka, because of this dive, delivers them very accurately. So most of the time, not this time, they land right on target. It was a Flampanzer Killerpanzer. Yes, let's go. Let's go. Flampanzer action. It's so cool to see this thing. We never see it used, so it's amazing that we see it. Mimil also has a Möbelwagen right at the start at single vet 2. I don't think it comes, it might be coming from the leader, which is very important against Koenig, of course, because you know that sooner or later it's going to start air spamming, so this is absolutely necessary. BS will run out of steam. This is the problem of DBSAS. Yes, it can run out of pushing power early. You have your rush potential in A phase, and then you have mostly good defensive tools, but not many good pushing tools. So you have to wait for B phase till you can really push. But this could be dangerous because it looks like Mimil is getting control over the town. And if Memil achieves that, it's going to be really hard for König to get back there in there before B phase, which also means Memil can set up his defenses to make it really hard for König to get in B phase. So this is one of the major issues. Panach here doing some nice flanking maneuver. Son of Zurich says, I think losing the town is a big issue. It is. It absolutely is. So generally speaking, there's two ways you can play this map. You either have to win the town or you have to win both flanks. And by both flanks, I mean not just like this. You need to get this entirely, and here you probably need to get this, and here at least one or the other one as well. If you just get one of the flank but lose the town, it's usually quite devastating, because here's the thing. And the person who got the town is still an advantage. Why? Because on the flanks, it is at least possible to get back in, whereas in the town, it's really not all that possible. Like, if you lose a town, it's usually cut off entirely, for all intents and purposes. So it's going to be quite tricky to come back. This thing, I think does 5 damage. Yeah, it does. So it needs 2 hits against the Panach, but the Panach would need more to kill it. It's less like 2 damage. 3 damage, actually. Okay. But this thing has 8 HP. I know. Oh, Fockelf tries to go over the mobile wagon to bait the P-47 in, but it does not fly close enough. No, still forced off. It's gonna go out probably. This is a Flak 43 though, and it's not single there anymore. So this can potentially kill. Maybe that's been long enough over it, but I think with single vet it would 100% kill it. With no vet, it could get out. No, it gets killed. That's a massive loss there, which makes me think that Memil's probably got this. Now we have to remember, Memil is on V for victory, so he does have a lot of pushing power. But because of the huge income difference in B phase, he really needs to make this count. Like, he needs to not just get into good positions, but he needs to be able to secure them for good, which is very important. Now, this is debate that I've had in the past with Emil about B for victory, and you know, I do have to say that I was definitely wrong about it, and I have to agree with Emil. König, by the way, making good progress up north, winning a CXC fight. This, knowing him, that there's basically nothing there, but Memil focusing mostly on this. I think Memil knows that there's a big push happening, but he just decides not to invest that much in there, because he should prioritize, and he does prioritize, the town, of course. But yeah, as I was going to say, in the hands of most players, players like me or you, V for victory versus Maverick is a bad thing for V for victory. However, in the hands of a good enough player, you can make it so that V for victory, the Maverick player has a very, very short time window where he can actually push, and he really needs to make that count. Now he has a massive advantage to do so, but it's not that easy of a thing to do. I don't even think we can survive until 25 minutes from a position like this. You would be surprised, but at the moment it's not looking all that great. Now König has lost some units. That's going to be pricey. Like, he has more on the ground, but also more of his stuff is cheap and not as good, and that's going to matter. There we go, another plane coming in. No AA here over here yet. And he might be able to go after J87 afterwards. Be absolutely devastating. Memil needs to send something over. Is the flamer going down? No, it is not. Schrumpanier overwhelmed. This thing will also be overwhelmed. Oh, is he killing it off, man? No, he's not targeting it. Just happened to take some damage. Not a Flampanzer coming here, but there's a Piat over there. So it's going to be tricky. Because they've been very underwhelming so far. Yeah, they have been. They have been. Push here continuing. Memil's forces here have been overwhelmed and basically killed off. I would probably favor König at this point now. I think it's been going back and forth quite a bit. This hold here is still a problem. Memil needs to clear that. He needs to get that flag, and he needs to get the position so that König can't really get back into B phase. I expect them to one-shot support weapons, but they lift every time. Yeah, it's not as consistent as I remembered it, but I also don't play this very often, so No real surprise. Oh, the armor's getting a little bit too close. Emil's sending things in one moment. It's one of those cases where if you're sending things like one by one like this, you're probably better off just securing somewhere over here for the time being. And then let's see what happens. B-phase, Mimil will have tank support at least. Oh, it's he already has tanks. It's not 2nd Panzer, this is 9th Panzer. 2nd Panzer is not a B-phase division, that's I think a higher one, A-phase. A-tier, sorry, not phase. One of the 25 mils forces off one of the J87, and this is, of course, I think the downside of taking the J87 in this matchup, that the 25 mil can actually do something about it, whereas with other planes it can't. Now, here's the thing, 9th tank doesn't have that many different, not that many other options. No Piat over here left, so this thing can just bully all the infantry, and Grenadier, if it stays at range, is pretty much uncontested. We have reached B phase though, and the Jagdpanzer 4 is coming in immediately. Mil on a 30-11 now, but this is quite dangerous. Champagne should easily win against the Maquisard. Not if he keeps moving because of the... Not if it keeps moving out of cover because of the Molotov. That is, I think, the deciding factor. The Chasseur-Para will demolish them. No question there. The Lux can definitely do something about it. Close enough, the Lux should also win against the Panard. Well, this thing got a little bit too close to the Chasseur-Para. Oh, Chasseur-Para is pinned. I was really lucky. This thing doesn't have any AT. Oh, but it's open top. It can throw little grenades on top of it, which it's doing at the moment. But this thing is going to go down. Jagdpanzer 4 spots the Panzerjäger 35R. Which is not what you want to happen. What do you want to have happen? Ooh, Chasseur-Para pushing a little bit too close. The Lux will absolutely destroy them. Lux going after Panard, easily kills it off. Maquisard here being stopped quite low from Emil, but it's not such a secure situation. So Emil is definitely going to lose some ground in B phase. Now the good thing for Emil is he has quite some town to lose, so he can lose a little bit of town and be fine with it. So there's some depth to his defense, but there's potential for depth. At the moment, his defense is not very deep. You kind of have to expect it with this matchup. But so he will need to fight his way back in C phase. There's not one of those cases where he can just try to hold on against Maverick. I mean, you should try, but you're not going to succeed entirely. Ooh. Sabadell could potentially be quite dangerous. I also see that we have some more new people joining, so please, for you as well, this has been organized by David for a charity, this tournament, with the whole idea, of course, to get some entertainment for you guys that makes you guys wanting to donate. So the link for donation is in the description down below. Please consider to support action against hunger. You know, with anything, if you enjoy what you see, if you get, if you get a nice evening with this cast, consider dropping just $5. If you want to have more, but, any little donation does make a difference. Pack 40 here versus the Jagdpanzer 4. It is in APCR range. So, but it doesn't see it yet. Because it was aiming, I thought it was. Line of sight will sometimes a little bit wonky. So, but not today. APCR, there we go, goes out. Bounces though. Jagdpanzer 4 is now opening up on the Pack 40. Cavalry Scouts get spotted. Bounces again. Wow, that is quite unlucky. And now we lost line of sight. And now it's going to lose the range. And line of sight once again. And I think that's going to be the end of that. Panzer 4 is pushing forward. I don't think it's going to achieve much here. He can technically pen the Jagdpanzer, but at the range, that chance is quite low. Up north, no AA, the P-47 is going to spam once again. Koenig is an expert on using his AA efficiently like that. He's always going to find the gaps in the AA net, and it's going to go after that. Oh, get shot down by the Fokker Wolf. That's a huge kill there. Killing off Koenig's Air Force before he can do maximum damage and really add up is absolutely crucial. J87 got a bombing runoff on the infantry blob over there. Another one is going to do the same thing as well. Unloads the Hotchkiss as well, which is quite nice result. I think not, as much of an effect as Emil would have hoped for, but a decent one nonetheless. Still, this flag, nothing in here to fix that. This would be an easy way for Emil to get some points. There we go. Panzergren is coming in. This is an important thing, guys, to always remember. It's not just, those kind of things are important to do because those minutes of getting a tick or not getting a tick can really matter. They can really, really do make a difference. Down south, it looks like Mimil somewhat stabilized. He uses Panzerluchse very nicely at the right range to force things back. Hotchkiss is forcing Panzergren back though. Koenig going more into defensive mode. We have never mind, some Makis are coming, but in defensive positions. It's not unloading those. It is something that Koenig doesn't do. Most of the time doesn't do. A lot of players don't actually. Or at least top players don't. They just call things in, somewhat reinforce, and get back. There we go. Panzergren gets a single tick on Koenig. This definitely makes a difference. It puts a little bit more pressure on Koenig, gives Mimil a little bit more wiggle room, especially if the situation as it is continues for a little bit longer. That just means that in the end, Mimil has a smaller difference to make up for, because Koenig will probably get him on at least single tick, if not a double tick at some point. So we're moving forward. Looks like the Pack 40 died. The Jagdpanzer 4 on the other hand did not, so that thing is still alive and annoying. 25 mil will probably force off the J87, and if it doesn't, the bombs will spread out enough for the Hotchkiss to not really take that much damage. Now, this loop is actually quite annoying because it makes AA and planes miss very often. Yeah, I guess it lost line of sight and just spawned where it used to be. Those J87s are busy. Yes, they most certainly are. I mean, if you have them, you have to put them to constant use. Because, you know, then you get the most return for your points, but also it's important because you keep constant pressure on your opponent. Feeling like you're constantly getting air spammed is, and it not actually killing all that much, is in my opinion just as bad as getting a few plane strikes that do massive damage. Just because it makes your opponent panic a little bit. It makes him play quite differently because he's stressed out by it. And, you know, not a lot of players will keep calm enough and realize that it doesn't actually do anything. And I mean, you know, pinning things can still matter sometimes. So it's not like they do nothing. They can still do important work. And, you know, that effect is not to be underestimated. So it's quite nice to see that Mimil uses this to maximum potential, even though the actual results so far have been somewhat underwhelming. The Jagdpanzer and Panzer IV pushing is supported by a Pack 38. Panzergren being spotted and forced out. If this thing is close enough, it can definitely pen the Jagdpanzer IV, especially if it shows side armor. We do see a nice push from over here by Koenig. Not something we see very often. Now we have a Tiger in, the only 2k asset that Mimil really has other than an 88. But a hard one to deal with for Koenig, except for his Hellcat, which we see one coming in down south now. Oh, Panzer IV. No, it's just fighting Chasseur. Not sure what those spot. Oh, the Panzergren once again. That I must be going off like crazy and stressing out a lot. Yeah, I think so. I think so. Pack 38 did go down. Panzergren being spotted. Panzer IV just chilling here. I mean, you don't want to engage both these. You know, yeah, you don't want to engage both these with just one tank. You want to build up a force and then push when you have things combined. Movlak definitely needs to be careful not to get any shots off from the side over here with Koenig. But we don't see this very often, but it's definitely a nice move. I mean, Koenig having secured this means he can relatively safely advance through this road, which is definitely cool to see. It's not something we see very often again. Or the Luxus have been doing some sneaking around. They could kill the Hellcat easily. The Hellcat will not stand a chance against those at this range. And all cavalry scouts are coming in. So Mimil has a limited time window where he can still pull something off. There's another cavalry scout over here which is moving in. So Mimil's push here has been noticed, and he only has a few more seconds to go. Eric Income is flexing now. Certainly is, yeah. But Koenig doesn't have a lot to show for it. And by, I think, around minute 25, Mimil, I think Koenig's time window to really get things going is closing. So it's really a very short time. And this is what I've learned from talking to Mimil about this and also playing versus Mimil's V for Victory. If you play V for Victory right versus Maverick, there's just, you have a massive advantage in B phase, but it's a very short time window where you can actually put that to use. Oh, nice move there, but the Panzergren is going to get a kill. It's also going to pin at least the leader, probably not kill it off in time. Yeah, Panzer IV here engaging. This would be the time for the Panzer IV to pop out, which it doesn't do, unfortunately. But a side shot there could have definitely mattered. Some other trickery. Oh no, it's also moved out of the building. That makes sense. Put on return fire. Oh, there we go. One of the looks does go down. Cavalry Scout is missing him. The other one, oh, fails to kill the Hellcat. Doesn't look damaged, but as we've just learned, it can have taken anything between 2 and 4 damage probably. It's still like all right. This thing has only 8 HP, so it can get a one-shot quite easily. Sniper being turned on to force off the calorie scan, I assume. Not sure if that's a smart idea because that reveals your recon. But it is what it is. 12-12 now with Emil actually pushing forward just ever so slightly and getting this. Shazerba and Makza trying to push probably. Oh, Panzergun spots it though. This range I would still say the Panzergun probably has the advantage. Then again, this thing just does a lot of damage. I think that's the important part here. This thing will suppress, but they will do damage. Well, this Panzergun tries to stop this force over here, but the Hotchkiss has spotted that. He's doing a very good job at forcing them back. There we go, Panzergun wins the suppression fight, yeah. The push over here is going very well for König. Just a handful of units doing massive damage over there. Panzer IV not doing anything still. The Yak Panzer IV still there, and another one coming in. Möbelwagen now on the run, as it should. And we really see Memil struggling now with his 90 points, which is really not that much. It just writes, I don't know why I forgot that I have an 80 Stuka. Well, that would have been useful, wouldn't it? That means the game is now I can still go for quite a while. It's going to take quite a bit. Still. Or around 10-ish minutes, I would say. But yeah, König making a lot of ground now. Memil sending in a row of Ju-87s and some reinforcements coming. Now, Memil has now unlocked his V for Victory income. So that means he should have a good chance of taking this back. And König's hold in the town is not exactly strong, so that is not necessarily very good. P-47 now going after the Panzer IV, which has been spotted. And the Möbelwagen is not in the right position to stop it. Panzer IV goes down, the hold on this flag lost. 59 for König. Ju-87's not doing all that much again. Did you see how the first Tiger died? Oh, he did die! True. It's not anywhere. Where is it? Is it over here? Is this a Tiger? No. It's not even that unit. Is this a Tiger? It's the Grille, probably. Just the Grille. Where's the Tiger? So to answer your question, no. Is this a Tiger? It is a Tiger. Did the Yak Panzer IV kill it, or what? Or did the B1 kill it? Did it get side-shotted? Oh, frontline here collapsing. I do see a 17-7 incoming. Let's see if König can make that a 16-8, because that would really be devastating. Ooh, Helka does a go at the Möbelwagen. Möbelwagen just barely managed to get to safety. Lost to a Yak Panzer front. Oh, that sucks. Helka now on the chase. And this thing is fast, so this is going to be the problem for Memil. I think he should have probably run for the town. But Promise has light armor coming in. And this all of a sudden, Memil very exposed here to König Saarspam. And we all know how dangerous that is. I think the only chance for the Möbelwagen is probably to get onto the road. It has no... There's no escape. There's no escape here. There's just no escape. Panzer IV coming in and saving the day is the only chance, yes, but I highly doubt they can do that. The towns actually, the houses could save it. But now there's a steward coming in as well. I think that's goodbye Möbelwagen. Uh-oh. Houses saving the day. Reinforcements coming in down south. Reinforcements coming in up north. König not actually pushing as deep as he could here. One Möbelwagen sitting there. Oh no, the Hellcat spotted it again. Or that steward did. And down he goes. That's an expensive loss and a very important one too. This is where Memil's comment about his AT Ju-87 now definitely matters. This would be the prime time for this thing coming out. Now the B1 the looks is not going to beat, in my opinion. Actually no, this one is only HE, so he could, if it's getting close enough. That is the trick for winning, although this armor is quite a lot to Panzer, it looks like probably never win that anyway. Panzer IV versus B1. Panzer IV gets the kill. 16-8. Fokker Wolf coming in. This thing can square off against a P-47 frontally. Oh, and it looks like it might get on the back. Ooh. No. Neither of those. No. König was air microing, actually. Möbelwagen could maybe kill it off. Could make a difference here. Panzer II looks trying to do some good work here. Piat is probably not going to get anything if it moves up here. The B1 though, that could easily kill the looks. No reinforcements be seen down south. 9 minutes left for Memil to stabilize and turn things around. Not really sure if he has the time to do it. Or another Tiger. Let's see if this one also dies to the Yak Panzer IV. Or if this one can actually win that fight. It should be in favor of the Tiger, in theory. But it gets penned once. And there's another one yet to come. Okay, this time the Tiger wins. That's good. But Koenig has an AT plane, and Mimil doesn't have any AA, so I kind of have a feeling what happens to that Tiger E there. Not sure why Mimil decides to fight over this, since he doesn't... Koenig probably has more CQC. Well, no, he doesn't actually have that much. That good. I think that's the important part here. Shrimpania can win against Marcus, although not sure how it is with the suppression that's already built up. Bigger part here is that he needs to get to the flag first, which is not happening at the moment. I think one problem that I can see for Mimil here at the moment is that Mimil is not actually pushing in one area decisively enough, and he's really getting pushed back hard in the town. Oh, and now armored rifles BR are coming in. It's not going to make it any easier. So probably one big counter push in a town or up north or down south will probably achieve more than all these little small pushes. But that is just my philosophy. I know there's difference of opinion on that matter. Pentagon here dying. That is very bad because I would have had this flag. And now it's going to die and it's going to make it harder for Mil to get around back. There we go. P-47 coming in. It's going to kill that Tiger. It might actually damage the Panzer IV as well while it's doing it. And the Lux is probably going down to the BR over there. Oh no. Yeah, that's basically Mimil's armor gone in the town. The Focke-Wulf is coming in to chase, but there's an M15 in here. And as bad as they are, they're good enough to stop the Focke-Wulf here. I think that is probably GG's for Mimil. I can't really see him coming back here. Now, I might be wrong. Maybe he's doing some miracles and stabilizes in time, but it's not looking very good for him at the moment. Oh, the Focke-Wulf goes down. That's even worse. It's even worse. There's still a 25 mil and an M15 over there. Now, these two together can do massive damage over here. There's one Piet unit, which is this one. So if Mimil uses them aggressively, they can easily kill off that Steward. They can kill off the M15. They can kill off the AA over here. That would be absolutely devastating. 18-6 now. Mimil needs to really stabilize things. And I think one of the things that really is problematic over here is Mimil losing that Panzergun over here. Having that in here would have made all the difference here. Because that would still be 17-7. Not looking very good. Koenig, on the other hand, in a very strong position down south still. Slowly just killing off whatever Mimil throws at him down there. As Mimil really struggles taking it back. And in the town, of course, really still very, very strong. Koenig just needs to hold it. Well, 6 minutes now. But it still looks very achievable to me. I don't really see Mimil getting 5 flags within 6 minutes at the moment. There we go. Looks counter pushing. Needs to be very careful because the Chassepard gets the M15 killed. Huge kill there. More AA up for grabs. This one being one of the more dangerous units in here. And Chassepard might be able to get close enough to do damage as well. Looks wrecking the 2-inch mortar. Can kill the 25 mil as well, though. 25 mil kills it first. Chassepard is getting close enough for the grenade. SPW 234. Oh no, it's smoking. Oh, love to see that play. And then moving forward and use the gun bombs to finish it off. Really beautiful play. 16-8. Mimil fighting back, but he's struggling. Makizaki is out of Molotovs, so all of a sudden the Pioneer is dangerous. Still no armor here. This is still screwing Mimil quite big time. I'm surprised that we don't see any artillery support by Mimil. I think that could have helped here quite a bit. A lot of Ju-87s coming in. 25 mil can't stop all of them, but there's 2 M15s in here now that can definitely help out. One of them gets forced off. One of them is retargeting. This is easily going to get stopped by the 2 M15s. It's actually going to die, I would assume. This one with the loop-to-loop might be able to pin the 25 mil. Not outright kill it. No. Oh, it's not getting all the bombs off by the looks of it. Kind of push happening, but now there's a Steward and none of these units have AT. Uh-oh. 15-9. Mil got this flag back. Got back in here. And Koenig's hold here is very thin all of a sudden. But time is running out for Mil. So, not sure how that's going to go. And still no AA. Then again, you know, there's so many Panzer IV here. Koenig can just kill one, can only kill one at a time. But Mil is losing this flag again, which is not very good. No reinforcements coming in over here. Is Mimil, since you're in here, running, are you running out of infantry at this point? Because I don't see any infantry. And now it's coming. Okay, never mind. I was disappointed with those Stukas. Yeah, I would bet. I bet. They definitely did not do very well. I've tried them a few times, and sometimes they did good work, but I mean, for 50 points, it's kind of hard to complain. But yeah. I was selling them as a good unit at the start, and then with the performance, I was reminded of their actually poor performance. For some reason, I thought they were actually good, but then I remember I have tried them before, and they were not that overwhelming. I had a go of Panzer and Penny in C, so I was fine. Oh, okay. Just, I was wondering why we haven't seen any over here. 6 and 8 again, so Mimil's not going to get... It's not off the hook yet. And this could actually be worse. If he gets them in too close, he could lose them, and then it's another flag for Koenig. Only momentarily, and it's not going to make it 6 and 8, but it can still make a difference and be quite annoying. Another AT gun coming in, and more rifles BAR. Over here, Möbelwagen basically holding line. I mean, if you look on the map, Mimil's line is still very thin, so that is not a good sign. I mean, Koenig is trading very well at the moment. Which also means Mimil just never has the power to push. And once again, I think this is really just because Mimil was trying to fight in too many places at once, which meant he was always weak. Or weak enough for Koenig to win everywhere. It's one of the worst things you can do, in my opinion, if you counter push. Maybe I'm wrong, and Emil will correct me in the comments, but this is generally how I see it when you counter push after a massive vanguard grab. You kind of have to pick one area that you fight, you win that decisively, and you just hold in the other ones. Because if you try to push back on every area, your opponent can just... You know, he already has an advantage everywhere, and he should generally outtrade you, and then just the small reinforcements you get in C phase are usually enough to just hold up that superiority forces for long enough that you can actually win. Mimil agrees. I should have... Okay. The issue is that Koenig was still pressing me. I know. I know. We concede. And another flag for Koenig. 6 and 8 once again after Emil just got the 15-9 for a brief moment. Overdrive Spear take out the Panzer IV. Panzer IV and Lush pushing here, but not enough infantry to actually support it. This flag here still needs to be grabbed. 1 minute 30 left. I just don't see Emil coming back, and I think by the way he's written in the chat that we can pretty much assume that he didn't. As it's also just like 4 flags at this point is just an illusion. It's not possible. Emil is not in any position whatsoever to get even just 2, and probably 1 is quite optimistic in this time. What do you think that? I don't know. And now the final nail with the off map, says Witch Doctor. Yes, I mean, I think this seals the deal here. This will seal the deal, and that's going to be goodbye for Emil from this tournament. So just 40 seconds, and we can speed it up. We know what's going to happen. I think it is one of those times where on stream I really don't mind finishing up fast. There we go. 23 minutes though. Was longer than expected. And here we can see Koenig outtraded Emil. Now that still means that Emil had more points spent at the end of the day, but it just wasn't enough to make the difference that it needed. I think losing that AA was really problematic there. Emil got a good start, as we've seen in the game as well. Koenig recovered some... No, actually, Emil kept going here. Here's where Koenig's recovery started, but I think it's not just... If you look at, the kill list, there's definitely more kills by Emil, but Koenig has a lot of cheap units. That's one thing that's important. And the other thing is, I think Emil lost some very crucial key units that allow Koenig to capitalize on it. AA is one of them. The first Tiger is another one of them. If, for example, Emil had a better time clearing out those Jagdpanzer IVs, I think that game could have gone quite differently, especially if you still had the AA around. So it's one of those key things. In terms of kills, the Pak 38 did actually quite well. Now, some of these are half tracks, so we have to, kind of remove those and don't count for all that much. But still looks, 2 of them, Panzer IV, some other units. P47 did good work too. There's the bomber, I think. The Jagdpanzer, of course. Stuart, Helka. Oh, the Helka was devastating. That was just brutal. Wow. The AT P47, an absolute beast. And that's about it. On the other side, some SPWs to start. The Panzerjäger, of course, always a nice thing. The Focke-Wulf did some good kills, but not all that much, actually. Some more SPWs. It's a little bit more distributed on the meal side. The Tiger actually did do some work, but most of it killed 2 Jagdpanzer. That's something. One of the Panzer forced it phenomenally. And that's already about it. But GG's to both players, and congratulations to Koenig for winning it. So, once again, if you like what you see, this tournament and the stream are happening for a good cause, so consider donating. Link is down in the description below. Any donation is more than welcome. So let me quickly check for updates if you already know how it's going to proceed. All right. Quarterfinals are done. You can now schedule matches for semifinals. They can be best of 3 if they want to. Yeah. Both players agree. No news yet. So let's just quickly, let me get the replay from your Panzer vs. Lizak so we can have a look at that as well. Oh, it's 8 Cav versus not a 9th Panzer one on Vanguard. Interesting. On Orsha East. So let's take a look at that as well. And oh, hold on, I've downloaded 2 replays. Which is the correct one? This one should be. Oh, my caps lock on. Never mind. Here we go. Gonzo should be something. Most of us should be something. It looks like. Okay. Later or tomorrow then, because I think for between the two stages of the tournament, I'm not sure if I can fit it in. 20-minute one, roughly, is what you Parza and Lizak said. Should be a safe bet in my opinion, so I'm going to go for that instead. But it's noted. Thanks for letting me know. It's quite long by looks. Oh boy. Okay, definitely gonna look at that then. Well, no. If it's a good game, I'm happy to cover it. I mean, I might also just, you know, if I don't have time tomorrow on stream, I can also just do it. I can also just do it at some point as a regular cast and still link to the page for the donations. So let's take a look at that. And let me check if there's some more people to thank for donations. Yeah. Lardo Playa has also donated. That's probably on Roy's side since he wrote in French, but thank you to him as well. We're currently at 22% of the £500 we try to raise. So if any of you wants to donate, please consider doing so. Link for donating is in the description down below. Again, these players are playing today exclusively to entertain you and make you donate to charity, hopefully. And so do I while streaming. So please, again, do consider donations. It's the only time you ever see me asking for money on this channel because it's not for me. It's for charity. Ooh, that's a little bit too fast. We have to go slower a little bit. So no time to look at deployments really over here. We can a little bit. So we have 8 CAF. You don't see very often, so it's nice to see that one. It has a limitation with its surrounds, but it has some headsets and it has a TACAM, which is really cool ATPs. It's a Marder, but a little bit cheaper, just super efficient. Doesn't have 750 meter range, obviously, but still quite interesting. And what do we have here? Upas are not actually going very aggressive. He goes aggressive in the town, but he's not that much faster actually. Got some flamer in. 8CAF of course doesn't have any flamers, so that's one thing to keep in mind. And over here, Paz is gonna get overwhelmed here. I don't see him getting that flag over there secured against those forces. Over here would actually have quite an advantage, but of course there's nothing to support a push against those Rosiori. And of course also it is not the best place for red side for blue side to push. It looked like Japan's push got held up a little bit, but there's an overwhelming amount of light armor. And these guys can easily kill off the Turan, in principle. However, the Turan has 12 rounds a minute. It's AP shell. It has enough pen to deal with those. So this thing I think is more of a problem. JV7 is coming in here. And this thing is better than the ones that 9th Panzer gets. I'm still a bit surprised about this pick, but it's not, you know, it's not the worst pick. This one, we don't see that very often, but I mean, it makes sense in this match. There's not that much armor on 8 side. So this thing only does HE damage, which usually makes you not picking it. But in this matchup, definitely makes a lot of sense. Mobilwagen coming in now, Japan's wanting to secure his skies off early on, which definitely makes a lot of sense. And over here, SPW actually holding off quite well. This thing doesn't this thing has a Panzerschreck. Yeah, I don't think it's going to survive for quite all that long, unless these guys can do something about it, which doesn't look like at the moment. Is it going to die? Oh, there's also 47mm here, which could move in position to potentially snipe this from above. If your Panzer keeps pushing forward, if it just stays there, the leader is going to kill it off. Infantry are doing a good job, but I think over here it's just going to get overwhelmed, and eventually this Panzergrenadier G43 is just going to get overwhelmed in channel by all that infantry. And there we go. Panzerschreck goes out and gets the kill over there. Shrimpire is coming in and more Panzergranads too. I'm not really sure if that's enough. I think Yapasa should probably focus on getting the hill for good. Accepting the loss of that flank over there, because if he has the hill, he can, you know, he can develop that into grab of one of these flanks or in a push over here probably. At the moment, Lizek's just holding on. Now this is, in my opinion, very much a Vanguard map, so no surprise there that 9th Panzer on Vanguard is getting some good good pushes, especially on the good side, right? He passes had the right side to push, but he's not really having a good time of following up with it. And it looks like he lost some key assets to the Turan, which is definitely a bad thing as well. But I think Japan's are using a lot of points over here for basically a lost cause. Like if the situation looks like this, and this is, you know, not to say that I know better, because I do this very often myself, but you kind of have to anticipate where things are looking by the time your reinforcements are arriving, and this is just very much a lost cause, which is also harder to see, of course, if you can't see the whole thing going on very much. Crew killed here on the Panzerjäger, very lucky, and the Turan's still alive and actually doing quite well. Panzerjäger here has found an angle on it. It's going to get a shot off. Is it going to pen it? Going to pen it once. It's going to pen it twice before Turan can even respond. And there we go. Turan is down. More units pouring in. Japan's now decided that he really wants to focus on that hill. He still doesn't have any of those flags, by the way. So he really needs to take that as soon as possible. And of course, I think there's definitely an opportunity for him to push further forward over here with some actual normal infantry. Focke-Wulf is coming in for the kill. Oh yeah, true, the rocket Focke-Wulf all success. Now, I'm not a huge fan of this, but in this division, instead of the J87, probably the better call here. And, you know, this is a Focke-Wulf with medium resilience. So here the two rockets are actually a little bit better than on the BF-109, which is a unit that I think is quite common. Still, you know, not my most favorite plane. I think these are very hit or miss. Sometimes they land on target and they do massive damage, and then they are not. They're just very far off. Oh, SPW getting shot at by the Pak 38 here. Yeah, this is where Japan should have probably waited for actual infantry and done a little infantry support to push. He's still trying to fight over this. He's actually not lost it. It's actually quite surprising. I guess Shrimpanier arrived just in time to save the day. This one is a little bit, both of them are actually out of position. Something that happens very often if you don't pay attention to those units. They can very often get to the edge of the forest, even if you don't want them to, just because the way you move them, or you queue moving forward and forget you need to queue move them back. These very small forest patches can be quite annoying. But I didn't realize how much there was in the forest. Yeah, I mean, it can easily happen. Does your Panzer have an off map that he could clear the no forest with? That could be a good reason to keep less in there. Someone said that 9th Panzer does have an off map. Okay, I don't actually know. I don't play this division very often. I've played it once or twice. I have no idea. But thanks for the context. I mean, if your Panzer has it, that definitely makes sense. But you also have to be very realistic. So to me it looked like, which I guess I was wrong, to me it looked like your pass is going to lose that, basically, by the time the reinforcements arrive. And that's not really where it's worth using an off-map then, because you need some support position to get back in. So just driving an off-map over here, when you've lost the force entirely, would be a bad call. So you would still have, like, if you still hold this, then yeah, now for example it would make sense. But when it looks like he was losing it, I didn't really see the potential for him. Horsch now coming in. Forgot about ACAF having those. I'm surprised that we didn't see them in the opener. But now I think, yeah, it's a good time for them. Because they can really do a lot of damage right here. And it passes nothing there that could potentially deal with him. I think he's used up most of his light armor. Some of it's still arriving, but most of it has been used. Except for the looks, but that's not that fast. It's going to take a while for that to arrive. Panzergren's coming in. One Panzergren now arriving, but a little bit too late. Kandarashimoto, you know, just shredding it since it's out in the open. Pannier and Flamer can definitely win against Rosior over here. Second Pannier, of course, got forced off at range. I think he's not that good. No way here at the moment. The Focke-Wulf's coming in again. But yeah, Japans are just kind of not really taking advantage of this opportunity to push. Kandarashimoto getting pushed back. More light armor arriving now. Pushing more aggressively, but Turans are here. No AT to really cover this off. Just the one Panzerjäger, which 2v1 will not win. 1v1, 8 can definitely win. Not if the Turan shoots first though, but the rate of fire of this is absolutely amazing. Or the Turan spots the infantry first. Panzerjäger gets a pen, gets another one. It's the Hichela we just saw. Yeah, it was. Killed it though. Do you have an FK-288 coming in? So then again, that's a captured CIS-3, right? Yeah, it is. Didn't even know that it had one in the artillery tab, to be honest. I quite like the one that you get in the AT tab. Not so sure about the artillery one, to be honest. I mean, actually no. 60 points, 48 G shells. It's basically kind of a mortar, just with more range, really. So it's actually quite good, I would argue. And you can still use it for AT if you really need it, which you don't want to with a 60-point unit. With that kind of pen, but it's a useful thing to have. Both SPWs engaged into round together could win. 1-on-1 is quite a different story. It's back 38 here covering things off those. It's not going to make it very easy. Let me just quickly check over on Discord what is happening. If we got any updates on when things are proceeding. Lizek says me versus König, ICL Maverick versus first Lovash Maverick. Oh, I'm gonna love that. I want to see that map though. I guess probably I should either Ushanov would sell, would be my guess, but you know, you never know. I wouldn't actually pick Lovash on either of those. I'm not sure what it is then. Maybe this map? Not the best CL map in my opinion, but who knows. Well, we're gonna see. I think this is one to watch. Once we're done with this game. They're probably still, you know, building the decks and getting ready for the deployment and whatnot. So we're not in a hurry. So at the moment, just a slow grind over here. Not a Focke-Wulf coming in down south. Unfortunately, this thing so far has not really delivered that much. Again, as I said, it's very much hit or miss, these two rockets. Sometimes, you know, 10 damage if they both land is massive. But if they both miss just a little bit, it's not a lot of damage in total. And it's an expensive plane. It's not a cheap plane. It kind of makes sense with, you know, a unit with this kind of potential. But it's also bad because of, you know, this being a potential and not general rule of what it can deliver. Also, AA is now coming in. A recon plane down south. ACAF does have some scary planes. So, there not being any AA could definitely open up opportunities for Lizek here. I would expect the J-87 to arrive here very, very soon. Since, you know, the plane is uncontested. Unless Lizek doesn't find anything here that he thinks is worth targeting. But for the most part, unless there's an area where you really want to be ready to bring your planes in. So, unless there's something where I think, oh, it's very important to bring your plane there. You generally don't want to wait. You know, if you can do damage, you do damage. There we go. The cluster plane has been bought, going after the SPW over there. And regular J87 is going in after, well, the Pioneer that is not spotted anymore. It's always a bit wonky with these targeting orders, so yeah, there we go, it found it again. Sometimes it still displays the old one, even though it already has found the new one. Not always very easy to see where it is at, but there we go. Bombs go off. Focke-Wulf's coming in for the chase, and I think it should probably catch one of them, but the both of us may be able to force it off. He's going to catch it. No, he's calling it off. He's no. Manually turning, but I think now he misses his window of opportunity. This thing's going to despawn any second. There we go. Down it is. Red alone for your parser, which could be enough if... now we know that's a short game, and he's not having a triple tick, so I can have a guess on where this is going, but this can in principle be enough against Maverick versus Vanguard. If, you know, if you still wait well enough but just don't really get enough flags, it means that sometimes your opponent can't push back that very well. So if these two incomes, it happens sometimes that you don't get a 15-9 for any player, at least not for a long time. And it's still possible for both sides to win, but I just don't see a lot of initiative by a pass at the moment, which doesn't look very positive, to be honest. So more units pushing in here. Marder now for support. This thing is really good, the Marder F22. Marder 3 F22, sorry. And it looks like there's... I mean, we've seen 2 Tyrans dying, so it's just that one left, but now the TACOM is coming in. And this thing, boy oh boy, 35 points is really cheap. It's actually cheaper than SIS 3 itself. 10 rounds a minute because it's SIS 3. Decent accuracy. Pen is not the greatest, but you know, it's still 10 rounds a minute with 100mm of pen for only 35 points. At one, I think it's like 12-ish, something like that. So it's actually quite good. And this thing just upgrades phenomenally to anything. This thing is a little bit better, because the gun that it gets is the F22. So it has more pen, but also low rate of fire, which in this direct matchup, and you know, it's only 5 points more, which it's actually quite an efficient unit, but in this particular matchup, it's going to lose against the TACOM, which is also cheaper. Now, if this really coming in, we haven't seen any of those yet. I think there's like 4 of those at single vet, if I remember correctly. Might be wrong though. Oh, more TACOMs coming in, and there's not a lot of armor here. So any armor that shows up is probably immediately going to get wasted by these. It's not very good. 2 Focke-Wulfs coming in. Paz is still fighting on this, but it doesn't have a lot of units for that fight. Also, Pack 38 is getting moved in position to kill that looks off. Infantry is not in any position to save it. Uh-oh. Ooh. Got one pen gun, another one. Lux is down. And these, you know, they do have 10 HE shells. They do 2.2 damage. It's actually not a good infantry support tool because of the amount of ammo you get. But when it does support your infantry, it's actually quite decent at it. Now the Panzer is in position to kill the Pack 38 off, and another one is moving in, but there's nothing to follow it up, unfortunately. It's not looking very good. But over here, the Panzer is still fighting hard over the town, and Lizik really not in a very strong position to take it, but with the TACOM with the Serenity 2 arriving, that could change. Ooh, even more devastating, the Romanian 100mm coming in is one of the most feared artillery pieces, just because of how fast it fires. It's not super accurate, but it's accurate enough to do the trick with the fire rate that it has, and that can be quite dangerous. It is a really scary artillery piece to fight against, especially because it's not that expensive. It's 80 points. So if you know that your opponent has brought one of them, you can expect your opponent to bring another one of them. And fighting 2 of those with any artillery piece is an absolute nightmare. More armor coming in, supplies for, I assume, the FK-288, which at the moment is not really in a good fighting position. J87 is coming in. Möbelwagen might force it off. Ooh, the SPW in a nice position to kill off those horses. One of them has already gone down. Does the other one follow? Yep. Oh, this thing is real sniping. Or Möbelwagen is not in the right position. Like over here, may have been able to stop it. But over here, it just doesn't see anything in time. Let's probably does go down. A push with the Rosiori and the Calarazi are already following. Not many good things happening for Mil here. Flak building forcing off the J87, but only after it threw the bombs off anyway. Now we have a push here with some Rosiori. Now, Flamer is definitely the right unit to stop that, but it is exposed at range here to this Rosiori. And yep, very short-lived success there. Now all of those together with their automatic rifles, and they do have straight pull rifles by the way as well, which really does make a difference compared to bolt action rifles. Should mean that the Pioneer might not actually be able to throw its scene there. No, it did, but it didn't really matter. Got killed off relatively fast. Panzerschreck is coming in to deal with those TACMs if they ever decide to get close, but I think the bigger problem is going to be holding that front line in general. Panzerschrecks have moved up quite far over here. It's a really nice move right there. Pushing up. Rosiori Assault now arriving. And 3rd line for Yapaza still, but over here is going to lose some units. Champagner getting in here is quite huge because that can easily kill off the Hotchkiss, and with some smoke can move into another one. Up close, the Lux can also kill off the Takam, but only if the Takam misses and need to turn, which is not going to do. Oh, Hotchkiss finds a Panzerschreck over here. Recon plane coming in, that means another airstrike is upon us. No, it's just doing strafing to win that fight. Okay, never mind, I have been wrong then. I would have expected something else to come in as well here. Over here, FK-288 still alive. Panzer IV just getting penned by, oh, the Vickers. Vickers still alive, but suffering at the moment, and the row of Kalarashi and Pineda Kalari coming in. I actually love to see that we do see the Kalarashi coming in, because we don't very often, and this is not the case here, it is very unlikely to be, very often when you see a recon infantry coming in, that means that player is running out of regular infantry. So it's great to see this thing still in action. Like position, filling in position off the bat. Oh yeah, true. This is in a very bad position. Needs to be further back, as you said. Strom Pioneer here will get easily overwhelmed by 2 Rosurias out there. Actually fairly decent. They have Molotov, which matters, and then full Berettas, which is not to be underestimated. And again, the straight pull rifles really are quite a step up from a bolt action rifle. It's not as good as the semi-automatics, so they can't, you know, match a Garand or the G43, but it is a nice thing to have. FK-288 is pinned and close to death. It's not going to get finished off yet. The ammo is actually quite close, so Yapanza could potentially lose the ammo to get it with the FK-288, which would be absolutely devastating. Kalarashi pushing things back, a nice use there again of sniper and regular infantry. Really love to see it. Shady 7 getting in up close here. One of the Lux has already died. Takams both still alive. The G43 can't really do anything against Takams unless it gets close enough to throw the grenades into the open top vehicle, as any infantry unit can. Still no AoE, so the Focke-Wulf now actually getting in. A J87 going after the Takams. The Takams are moving in, no recons over here, so Yapanza can't maintain the line of sight on them, and I'm probably gonna miss them. Unless the drop is fast enough to actually hit them. No, it is not. The misses entirely. Enforcement's coming in, but yeah, I think this is... Although, then again, one thing to remember here is, well, the Maverick income is about to end, and Yapaza, they're both around, have... So there's a slight advantage for Maverick, but it's not that massive after B phase. And Yapaza has a huge lead, so that could still work. But looking on the map, I think he's about to lose this flag. This one, we're not really all that defendable. And over here pushes... this, I think Yapaza will hold this, but I'm not so sure how well Yapaza is going to do if he's lost this. This is one of the more dangerous things on this map is for Blue side, is if Red actually takes all of this, because it's really hard to get back from this. Oh yeah, this flag as well, which gave him the 12-12. So... Oh no, it's giving him the 3rd Never mind. So he can afford to lose that. Again, I just noticed that. But these will probably lose. So that would mean a 14-10 for Lizek, which Yapaza first needs to flip back around. At the moment, it's not looking very good for him there. Back to 12-12 though. Back to 12-12. Looks that... Not a Lux coming in. The problem is the Lux can really only work at close ranges. So if it's like this close to Takam, he can kill it, but only if the Takam needs a turn, which the Takam at the moment wouldn't need to. This is one of the big disadvantages of this. Matchup. Rosita overlooking here the opens. The Lux can't just go over here and flank Rosiori. But at the moment it doesn't need to. You can still see it from over there. It's quite crucial. Over here there's more room for movement, but not for very long as the Vickers is closing in. Sniper now coming in. Another FK 288 and another J87 going after Tekam once again. No recon plane for your Panzer coming in though to, you know, actually spot for it. So clusters are a little bit less reliant on it, but even clusters still usually should come with recon. But any other AT plane needs recon if you use them against tanks. But even cluster planes again should usually have it to make sure that you're actually going to get your shots off. What is the Bofors actually? I haven't missed that. So the spread here might be able to save the Takam. It does. Both of them do survive. Probably damaged. No, missed basically entirely. Unless, you know, it did take damage, we just don't see it, which we already know. Can be the case. 14-10 now for Lizek with these two flags grabbed. And another push over here is happening. Now, the looks can stop that quite nice. There's nothing here that can deal with the looks. But the 100mm is still doing very good work. This even... no rating range as far as I can see. It's just doing good work in general. FK288 has a go at counter battering, which is probably not going to be very successful, although two of those, or more of those, generally speaking, can be quite spammy and overwhelming. More artillery pieces than you would expect, unless they're like really far back. JU88 now coming, going directly after the flak filling. Is that going to work? Yeah, with the Kalashimoto finding it, yes. J7 coming in once again for another attack, and both is not in the right position, actually. What do you think of the Panzer G43? Both me and the Panzer were disappointed with its performance. So far, it hasn't really convinced me, to be honest. I would have expected these to be better. But, yeah. I think it's still better than a regular Panzerground, but I don't think it's by a huge margin, to be honest, from what I've seen so far. But to be honest, I don't think you've seen that many, like, in both games that we've seen so far, I think it's not a matchup where it counts all that much. Although, actually, against the Kalashimoto, it's basically the same unit. I think here we should see the difference. I've not paid enough attention in this matchup, to be honest. When here's cover difference, for example, I think it will still add up against something like Kalashimoto, but I don't think against like something like cheap, like DBSS, I really don't think the performance makes any difference. I'm wondering if one thing that I'm thinking, it's just an idea of why maybe this is a bit disappointing. I think the issue is that, or what could be an issue is the semi-automatic rifles. I'm not sure, but I think if the G43 is anything like the Grand, which it is worse from what I know, it's not as good. But if it falls in the same kind of niche of, we do have a rifle that does more damage, but less suppression. Maybe what's going to happen is, you know, you actually suppress less, but damage more. Which for the Panzergrenade is not actually that good, since with the MG42, the main selling point of that unit is that you suppress super fast. Maybe that is, I don't know. It's just an idea. Just an idea, I don't know. And there we go. Lizek takes the win with slightly outtrading your Panzer. Not by that much, actually, but I think he had way better map control in the end and was just in a better position overall. Yeah, we also see that he got quite some good kills at the start. Yeah. Your Panzer lost a lot of force right at the start, and that basically killed the game for him. I think everything else, you know, we see more kills by Lizek, which is not a good sign either. But I think really this right here, and I didn't really notice at the start, but those kind of things, even if you don't look at them up and see, are like, oh, that player is clearly worse off. If you have this kind of opener, especially when you're on the aggressive income, that's usually GG's for you. I think this case here is no exception here. The Takam did a little bit of work. The Srini actually missed that, unfortunately. The round 2 did some work, and the JO7, of course, was a massive performer there. Remaining infantry reigning supreme. It's really cool to see that it still does some good work. Focke-Wulf did do good damage. Some killing the Panzer IV as well, but that's about it. So yeah, GG's. And congrats to Lizek to making it further, which we already know because he's playing against because yeah, he's Sorry, he's playing against Koenig now. And let's see if that match was already started. I don't think so. We have not received any message in the tournament chat. No, not replays. Custom game. It is not. So we have some time. I think let's take a quick break. I need to get some water and a quick toilet break, and then we are right back. Let's switch real quick to this one. Right, see you in just a bit. I will be right back. All right, here we are again. So, quick break, but it is time to return now to Steel Division 2. So, let's see if we got any news about any of the games starting. Not yet. So, need to wait. But, nope. Does not look like it. So, let's just, for the time being, look at the divisions. Let me actually see what the two are playing. Also, as David just said in the chat, consider donating again. This tournament is specifically being organized and the players are playing in I am casting for your entertainment, so that you consider this worth some money to donate. So we have nothing from it other than doing something good, which is enough reward, but it would be nice if you get some more support. So far, 6 people have donated, and 2 of those are your partner and me, so it's not actually a very good performance at the moment, so it would be great if you have some more people. Of course, don't donate, if you can't afford it, but if you think it's worth some money, please consider donating. It helps a lot. Anyway, let's move on to the division. Again, link to where you can donate it is in the description down below. If you donate via this site, which is not directly on actions against Hunger, we can at least see that it was done, linked to this event, which is cool for us to see how much we actually did. So, let's quickly look at the division that will be played by Koenig and Lisek. So, since this is the only quarterfinals, but it's only 2, semifinals, since it's the one that we actually have some news about, I would assume that to start first. So we're going to look at that first. So this is CL by Lisek. It's not his build, but he will be playing it on Maverick Income. Again, we don't know the map, sadly. But it's going to be some close to mid-range map, otherwise CL would not be a reasonable pick, and that would be Lovash, really. But I mean, this one is interesting. It got buffed recently, which is quite amazing, because previously it was really bad. These guys used to be at 35 points, which is way overpriced. And I think these guys too, which is also a bit too expensive. It's a chunky flame and has 3 Berettas. Sorry, but 35 points for this was a little bit too much. I think it was meant from 30 to 35 points during the Man of Steel meta, when admittedly infantry was quite broken, so it made a lot of sense, but after that, not really anymore, and now we got the correction there. So some notable things. Again, this is not, of course, how his deck will look. It's just a build that I made at some point. So there's actually some funny light armor things, especially in the recon that you can use. Depending on what you play against, it can be worth it or not. We're not actually sure if I would take that quickly, but that's kind of the point. You have some nice sniper units. You have some more Piats, because we're going to get there actually. If let's do it Recce, if you actually take this recon unit and just, more Piats that you can take. These guys as well, single brand unit though. It has recon, but it's not that big. Still 20 points, kind of expensive for a single brand unit with these few rifles, in my opinion, and no Pia. The actual rifles are not that much more, but it's at least a little bit better. That unit is already bad for 20 points, let's be honest. One of the notable things, of course, is a Commonwealth equipped infantry tab, despite it being all Italians, and and the 1 Polish unit. But the problem with this is it doesn't really have any Piats except for the Commandos. It's the only unit that has Piats, and then the leader. I think only one of them. Yeah, only one of them. So not that many Piats here, which is one of the important things for Commonwealth equipment, in my opinion, is the kind of the use in combined arms that you get out of it, with having Piats on every infantry bit, because the unit from a loadout perspective is usually quite bad, but the Piat makes it quite a bit better. But what we do have is we can see with the Marrow, 25 points for 9 Berettas with shock is actually quite good. Like, this thing really slaps. This thing will win. You get a Panzerfaust too, which is quite nice to have. these guys, we all know them. No, sorry. These guys, quite nice. Hybrid unit with, you know, 2 brands, 5 Lee Enfields, which is not great, but it's okay-ish. And then 3 Berettas and a TNT and Shock and Fanatical, just because. So that's actually quite nice. Morrow, no, this is the one that we know, of course. Quadruple brand, the only quadruple machine gun unit in the game. And, you know, with the brand doing decent damage, this thing actually slaps quite hard. In terms of suppression, it's not that impressive, or at least less impressive as you would think. But in terms of damage output, it's actually quite significant, and you get a Panzerfaust as well. Yeah, more of those. And you also have the Fucilieri Bren, which I think always was 30 points. But this one doesn't have a Panzerfaust, so to start. It has 1 more man, I think. 2 more man, actually. But it's not going to do a massive difference. And you have the stand, which is really not changing anything here. And then, of course, there's this fantastical thing, the Guastatori Para, which, again, quite chunky, 3 Berettas a Flamer, can do a bit more damage than you would expect. You also have these guys if you really want to use them, Guastatori. Not that great. 3 Berettas, though, and a TNT. And it's chunky, not that bad, but no shock, of course. And, of course, no machine gun. So, not great, but okay. You also have the Para d'Assalto, which does have the radar trait on top. Basically, kind of the same like the Maro. Really worse AT, but radar, which can be good. But it's also, you know, it's not game breaking. I forgot about these guys. They're very mediocre though. So the infantry tab is really the big selling point here, but you definitely have to use combined arms. You have some tools in the recon tab, as we talked about. And then, of course, you have your tank tab, which doesn't actually have that much light armor, which I think for this close to mid-range map is actually not great. And then a few Shermans. Now, noteworthy is this one, a Sherman 1 DOW with 110 mm of armor, which is a nice upgrade. And can be really problematic, especially for Western Allied armors. Vaza says playing Sail against König fighter bomber spam will be scary. Yeah, I definitely agree. Having to pay 5 points extra for afters with better afters with Berettas doesn't feel that great. It's not 5 points more though. And after is also 25 points. Unless you mean this one, where you pay enough price for the rated trade, which is, my opinion, I always say this, rated trade is incredibly good, but it's not worth 5 points, in my opinion. So if you specifically talk about this unit, it's bad, yeah. But this one, Maro, is really good. It's better than an AFTO, or at least equally good, and same price. So really nothing to complain there. Yeah, support tab. You get this little thing, which is quite annoying, and you get 10 of them. So if you play ever against a division that doesn't have a lot of tanks or AT, this thing is super annoying. Your passer once showed me this very effectively. that was not a fun game. Actually, it was a great game, but it cost me a lot. Let's put it at that. But yeah, I think one of the big downside of this division, of course, is the very punishing slot costing. This is getting very expensive very quickly over here as well. Here it's somewhat cheap, but it's not super cheap. This is actually not that cheap in the end either. One of the most punishing things is this here. Not that many AA pieces, and you also pay a lot to get them, like to actually take them. Artillery is nice with some more beach, but it's not, you know, super good. And then the air tab is, of course, quite nice. You get some recon. This is a very good fighter, so nothing to complain there. You get some P-51s, which are not bad either. You get some bow fighters, some Alcione. So nice things all around. The Baltimore is not that bad either. The Ariete is nice for medium resilience and a good bomb loadout, although this one is not that great. It's a kind of slow. The actual gun loadout is not that great, so but it is serviceable. And it can be quite spammy if you combine it with some more air spam because of the medium resilience. So that is CL. Looking at Lovas now. This is the oldest Hungarian division in the game from what I remember. And this is the Turan division. This is what it has. It has Turans. Lots of them. Well, actually, not that many. I think First One Chelas has more, actually, as a matter of fact. But, I mean, this one is not a tank division. It's a mechanized division. And it doesn't really have any mechanized elements other than having the Turans. They don't have any half-tracks or anything like that. But, you know, So this thing at mid-ranges can slap quite hard because of the trans. And then you have a fantastic unit with this one, which I do not dare pronouncing because I will fail anyway. But this thing is really good because it's 12 straight pull rifles, which really is a nice upgrade to the bolt action rifles. And you have 3 of these sort of machine guns, which are not that bad actually either. So if you add up 3 of those, you're ending up in a decent spot at the end of the day, and these add up quite a bit as well. You pass that say something like Husar Goliostoroso. Yeah, something like that. I don't know. I never try this one because I just, and here's the other thing, right? For any of those Eastern European languages, I wish I could, but I have no idea how you actually pronounce the units. Same goes for the Finns, by the way. I also tried, but I have no idea how you actually pronounce them. So there will always be a German or English influence in those names when I try to pronounce them. So I'm always going to fail. But yeah, so they have quite some nice infantry as well. Not that much in great CQC actually. So on CQC map, that can be a little bit tricky. You do have these guys which for 20 points are decent, but nothing phenomenal. This thing is kind of Sturmpire for cheaper with 1 man less, but 2 SMGs set up better because of better accuracy. Nothing phenomenal. Then you have some cheap lovers to spam around, which is not bad, but it's also not that good. Pretty good with the Finnish names was. Yes! Hurrah! Thank you. I try my best, but I have no idea how you actually do. I think we had a discussion on stream once with how you pronounce certain parts of some of the names. But it's quite difficult to do via me talking and you replying in the chat, because I have to be like, is it correct? Is it more like this? Is it more like that? And then you get a yes, and it's like, which of the 2 is it? You can see the problem. Unless someone actually tells you so they can listen how you pronounce it, it's kind of hard to do. I try to listen, so when you pass through these tier list videos, I try to listen how you pronounce the Finnish units. This is what I tried. So, best non-Finnish pronunciation of that. So, okay, I'm happy with that. I think it's going to be as good as it's going to get. But anyway, so over here we do have the scary 149. It's also a very scary unit. You have a cheap off map, so that can be quite devastating. Other than that, the artillery is really not that good. The off map lane. Koenig is going to bring the off map. Koenig loves off map lanes, so you're going to see that 100%. Of course, you have good AA with the Nimrod and the 36M. This thing, for whatever reason, I have been told, I've not actually noticed, but apparently it's a bit better than a Bofors. It's basically a Bofors, it also looks like a Bofors, but apparently it's a bit better. And it definitely feels good, whereas the Bofors to me is always kind of meh. But yeah, so this is the main thing of this division. Very good infantry, supported by a lot of lighter armor. It's not actually light armor, despite it saying over here it has 10 health. But in terms of how it plays, it is light armor for all intents and purposes. You support it a little bit with a headset and some AT. Sorry, I have something in my throat. It's drying out. And yeah, you have also some good air support, right? You have the J87 cluster planes, which are quite spammy. These guys, which when there's no AA, quite scary as well. If this thing which is not that good, but Koenig is going to bring it anyway. So this is one of those cases where if there's no AA, this thing, actually quite good. Because they land quite accurately and they do damage. However, as soon as there's AA, the dispersion is going to be massive. And the bombs are going to land all over the place and not going to be all that good at the end of the day. There's also some Ju-87s and of course Ju-88. So I think the one thing that could save Lizak here from Koenig's air spam is the fact that a lot of these are lighter planes with medium to low resilience and slow, right? These do have medium resilience now, but at least they're not super fast, so they can actually be forced off by the crappy air type that CL has. But still, Koenig can probably overwhelm CL's air type with Stuka, so it's quite dangerous for Lizak. So this is, I think, where I see the big danger. In terms of tanks matchup, these are very cheap, so they can be everywhere, and CL doesn't have a lot of cheap AT to deal with those. Cheap tanks to deal with those, but it has some cheap AT options with the 47mm and, you know, the 6-pounder and things like that. And, of course, very important, the Turans really struggle against Sherman, so they can be quite devastating to them. This is how I would look at this. Heads are of course going to be a problem for CL. CL will have a hard time against those. Now let's see if they actually started. Haven't heard anything yet. Which is a shame. Which is a shame. So let's see if we get any news. Let me ask, because I don't know how long I need to, you know, not waste time is the wrong word, but keep you guys entertained before the game actually starts. Before my voice eventually fails me. They're probably going to do the one more game, and that's probably going to be it for today. Because I don't think my voice can do more than one. And I need to do another one at least tomorrow. So I'm gonna have to remain busy. Let me quickly write them and ask. Or did they already start and we have not heard of it? Oh, there's another one playing. Moorbrook. Why didn't you say so? Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's do that instead. Oh, Lisak says it's going for 30 minutes, and they just haven't told us. And I didn't see... did Lisak change his name again? Because that would explain why I didn't see it in the list. Or maybe they have spectator turned off. Oh, no. Sorry, guys. We've waited so long for not actually being able to start. But this one has just started, so let's watch this instead. We have... Ooh... Desert Rats on V for Victory versus WF on 106. WF on 116 Panzer is really scary. So if you've never seen WF, if he ever plays on, like, is sitting in the Discord while playing and streaming his gameplay for you, you should watch him. The guy is so fast. So apparently he did beat Gonzo, yes. Looks like it. I definitely do want to watch that game. So I either do it tomorrow after the finals, or I will cast it regularly, because I assume that's going to be a good one. But yeah, as I said, this WF 116 Panzer is an expert, but the guy is super fast. Like, if you ever watch him playing, he's incredibly fast with his playstyle. How fast he switches back and forth between units and gives commands and micros, it's absolutely insane. Like, it's more than just a level above me. Like, absolutely nuts. And on 116th Panzer is really scary. Like, he knows his division, he knows it. It's like one of his favorite divisions, I think. So now on the other side, got that StarCraft 2 macro. Yeah, it definitely looks like it. And those guys are insane. If you've never seen a video of how these guys play, go look it up on YouTube. It's absolutely crazy. I don't even have the mental capacity for that. Like, I'm not that fast. My brain is quite slow, actually, as I always noticed in Steel Division. But yeah, anyway, so the important thing about this matchup, and now we can't see it, of course, because the deployment has started. But the important thing here is, I think V4 Victory is a quite excellent pick for this map. Why? Because you need to get, like, across this river at the start, which you can also with balance. It's not that you can't, but you have an easier time securing your hold with a more aggressive income. But here's the... And then, you know, you just have an easier time securing your position. And then in B phase, you're in a good position to hold. Because with every river map, the longer the game goes, it's always going to turn into a grind, because your opponent will have enough tools at every river crossing to deny you from crossing. And you probably have some defensive tools as well. So you don't actually have that many offensive tools around that allow you to even push. So your push is always going to be outnumbered, no matter where you push. This is always the case with this river map if the game goes long. So you basically push early. This is how it most often goes. And then someone gets across and the game evolves around that. And maybe then there's some counter pushes because both players are focusing on, one is focusing on doing another push or fortifying his successful push. And the other one is either trying to push it back or just push somewhere else. So this is kind of how it goes very often. At some point, it always slows down and it will always go back to fighting over that river. And in longer grindier games, it's usually just an arty party at some point and not much happening. Sometimes, you know, we get exceptions. But this is where V for Victory, I think, is very useful here, because you still get the good early income to help you get across, dig in, and get the tickets. Eventually, you might get pushed back, but by then, you're probably in C phase where you have an income advantage once again, and you have had some time to fortify in A and B phase already. So probably your opponent's not going to get that big of a, you know, let's say, advantage in B phase due to his better income. And that really matters a lot. So this is why I think V for Victory for this map particularly, or for any of the river map, is quite useful, because you could at the start when it really matters, and you could at the end, or for the long run where it really, really matters. And B phase, in my opinion, matters a little bit less on this kind of maps very often. But we do see a fundamental difference here, and that's quite important to point out. WF, one big push on one side, and this is exactly how you do it on this map. You have to have one decisive push, take it, and win it, or fail, and that's about it. Unless you're really good at defending and you're confident that you have the right tools and the right speed and the right strategy to hold everything, or maybe lose a flag but inflict so much damage to your opponent that you can then overwhelm him in other areas, that you can outtrade him early. That's another strategy, of course, but at the moment it doesn't really look like this to me. Especially this right here is dangerous because it leaves armor, it leaves room for armor to push through, which is not happening. It's expander not coming in. Okay, this one goes like right, let me see, I think this is the spot. Yep, it's kind of hard to tell from the side sometimes. But yeah, this is a spot. If you put it like right here, you might be able to stop some tanks. But fast light armor could actually potentially rush through already, so it's a little bit risky. WF goes very weak here in the center because he knows that it is usually not where he push, and it doesn't look to me like Mulbrook is going to do that. Surprise push over there. And over here, a lot of Trump Highs and some Panzergrants. So it's possible that he just goes in very heavily defensively over here with infantry, but I kind of would expect Trump Highs to push across here to pressure this flag too. I'm still not really sure which side is actually better. Blue definitely has a real chance of getting 3 flags over here, but we've seen these sometimes for red as well. I think red is probably overall a little bit worse off, because if you try to push across here, this one is a little bit harder to get and hold because of all the open. Over here you have a little bit more room with more cover to get these 2 flags, and those are both probably relatively equally across, like far across the river. So that is not that big of a deal. Also, blue I think has an easier time rushing in here than red has a rushing over there, just because the flag is further back. This one is where red really has an advantage, because you can set up here very close to the open area. It's much better than blue, which has to use this weird line of sight from over here, and back here, where you don't have the great line of sight. You can put things in here as well, but it's just more open for you that you have to reinforce through, and the flag is grabbable. Over here, I think it's relatively balanced at the end of the day. It's from my experience. Although blue with the hill here has definitely more commanding position when it comes to pushing back over here than red has from over here. Red has a hill here too, but it's, you know, further back, which matters a lot. And there we go. The game is starting. Just one last final time for today. Well, not the last time for today, but one more time before we see all the action. Again, if you haven't done so already, please do consider donating. So these players do play for your entertainment, to hope that it is worth something to you, that you donate to charity. And of course, I'm doing the same with casting. So we all do what we do today for a good cause, and hope that you do donate. So please, if this is worth anything to you, do donate. Even just £5 or euros or dollars or whatever you have in terms of currency. Makes a difference, so do go and contribute. Link is in the description down below. Big SPW rush, there's one Cromwell. One Cromwell that's not going to do much. Nice defensive deployment here with the assault engineers though, if they're not going to get spotted, and the desert rats are it, although these do only have the gun bombs, so they're not as good. Infantry gets in. Reinforcements are coming. Nope. Achilles here in a nice defensive position. Oh, we do have to catch carrier. Over here, the Shrimp Pioneers did get across. 2-inch mortars doing a holy moly, a lot of work. Because these guys, they also need to do because these things with the battle vehicle tend to run very fast. You can do the ground attack trick, but requires quite a bit of attention. This Shrimp Pioneer, oh, it's going to pin in time. It's going to get surrendered. Maybe not. Oh, Shrimp Pioneer is pushing through. It's going to kill off these 2-inch mortars. Third 11 for WF at the moment. Cromwell doing some good work. It's just going to get pinned by all these 20 mils now. It might just miss because it's too stressed out. Nope. Still takes a kill. And it's now disengaging. Martyrs are just guarding. No follow-up over there. Cromwell's coming in. Does Moobrook spot the pushing potential over here? It's getting pushed hard over here. It's getting pushed over here. So potentially he notices that this means there can't be much over here. And he needs to exploit that. Like there's 3 flags, potentially 4 flags that he can easily grab with a good push over here. But he needs to commit to it. Shader 7 going in and trying to clear out this infantry blob over there. Cromwell re-engaging as the SPW is showing sidearm. A really nice move there. Nope, it's not actually engaging, it's just guarding. To make sure they can't push further. Another Cromwell coming in. Not looking very good actually for WF. I think he still has a lot of initiative, but Moobrook is slowing him down very effectively. And the soldiers, if they're not going to get pinned, which I think they do, they could now use the Piat to kill this thing off, but they can't. Nice timing there from WF. Cromwell's still guarding here. Martyrs now coming in though. Not looking very good for those Cromwells. Oh, nice movement there. Achilles going on the hill. We don't see players doing that very often, and it's very, very, very important. So going over here, cutting this off. You have such good line of sight from here, and you such a good range. We don't see players do it very often. It's really great to see Moobrook doing it. Let's go over here. Shrimp Pioneer being pushed back. WF is continuing his push. This is one of the things WF doesn't like. He continues with this. He will continue his push for quite a while, and you would be surprised about what this man can do in terms of like miracles when it comes to pushing. Although this might be too strong for it. First time I just donated. Thanks for all the videos over the years. I remember I found you with, I think, your first playing. Oh, NOV, that was that was a bad one. Although it's not the worst. I had to learn, and I still have to do it a little bit better, how to have, you know, be more relaxed and just take it as an experience with those divisions, the lower tier ones. Oh, Achilles goes down. So this is the open that WF has been asking about. Some Civic says it hasn't gone through. It probably will, but it just doesn't show immediately. And I found that for some reason when I refresh the page, it doesn't show. But when you click the link again, it does. I don't know why. It shouldn't really work that way, but it did a way to show for me as well, like from my donations. So I wouldn't worry about it. But yeah, thanks for donating so much. It really is wonderful to see people coming together here and doing this thing, but also donating. You know, we've seen a lot of other games doing these kind of things, or content creators and other games doing it on their own. So it's really cool that a small community like Steel Division can actually manage to do something like this as well. So it's really great to see. Looks like Moobrook is really dominating here. When it's just picking WF apart. Now the question is going to be, can WF switch back to defense fast enough? Because I think this is what he might have to do here. Ooh, now a flag being grabbed by Moobrook, and Moobrook is in a strong position to push back. The WF had a tick for a brief moment, now it's gone. Entirely. It's not looking very good. Here's the thing that I was thinking. I forgot to say at the start. 116th is not necessarily very good for balance, in my opinion, because it is very shallow in its infantry tab and in some other tabs too. However, on this kind of map, it might just work. Because you don't need that much infantry, depending on how you played. The problem is if you have to fight over this, you need a lot of infantry. And this is currently how it looks like it's going to be. And that can be quite tricky for 116th in the long run. But, you know, if there's one guy who can pull it off with 116th, it's going to be WF. Cromwell pushing hard here. 2 Panzer IIIs come in. That's an excellent counter to those Cromwells. Because, you know, same armor, more pen. Same rate of fire, basically. Although single vet versus double vet, so that's going to make a difference. Back 40 also coming in. So it looks like Moorbrug's push here might just be stopped very, very soon. But I think the bigger problem is going to be the infantry. Over here, Moorbrug actually lost that flag. But it's only Assad's Pioneer. And those can be killed off. But more reinforcements coming in the form of Martyrs. Quite efficient units, of course. But actually dangerous. 17 pounder coming in here to cover off the open. This is actually quite dangerous. For both sides, because 17 pounds of course doing great work, but also it is an expensive unit that can easily be lost. No AA, by the way, on Moorbrug's side, and the JU-7 is back in. So I think lots of damage can be dealt here, especially if that 17 pounder is spotted out. Just an easy way to kill a lot of points. The JU-7 is just proof. There's some 50 cal half tracks, but they don't really do enough damage. Finch carriers are nice, but it's not quite the spot where you need them at the moment. Now there's a Crusader A coming in. Oh, over here, Panzer IIIs, one of them got pinned by the Cromwell, but the Cromwell's pinned by the Pak 40. The Panzer III fails to get the kill. There's an SPW pushing forward over here, trying to stop the field engineers. More field engineers stopped in the tracks. Cromwell 6 coming in for 2 KHE. Can deal with the Pak 40. Over here, there might be a line of sight with it, but not with the Panzer IIIs. 13-11 for Moorbrug, once again, with him holding this flag over here, having regained that one down here. As that's been on the run, having the disarm trade, of course, sucks quite hard. And, you know, it is, of course, worse than the Battle of Every trade, which Desert Rats do have. The kill is still there with the range advantage, although the Mars could pop up and do some significant damage now. What do we have over here? Panzer IIIs. Oh, 50 cal going down. 50 cal half track. Cromwell 5 still just chilling here. And 1 pool. Lonely Panzer Ren. Of course, needs to be careful. You don't want to get too close to these guys. As that's Penny coming in. Yeah, I mean, those are great with their availability. The only downside is the price. 25 points for this Hardened Pioneer is really not that great. It was okay for the MG42 and the higher availability back when the Pioneers were 25 points across the board. Nowadays, not that great anymore. J87 coming in once again. Not sure what he's aiming at. Oh, the assault engineers. Makes sense. Probably going to miss him since there was line of sight on it. No, actually quite accurate. 2-inch mortar still alive though. That's another force multiplier over there. And this is not a good matchup for this Pioneer. Although they will kill the field engineers for good at least. Martyrs. Oh, what do they see? The Cromwell. Misses though. This Martyr is finding the Achilles. No, the Achilles is finding the Martyr. The Martyr is not finding back since it doesn't have the range. 17 Martyr needs to be very careful not to get transport sniped. The Martyr should get... No, it's driving over there. Okay. It's probably going to survive this. The Martyr, on the other hand, is not. Like 40 moving in. Is the 17 Pounder going to snipe it? I think it's going to unload in time. Oh, shoot the kill on the Martyr. 17 Pounder has now revealed itself, which is probably not that good. But there's a Crusader AA coming in now, so the Ju-7 is not going to do much more if it comes back. Panzerwerfer now coming in. Nice tool for suppression. Can do some damage, but it is a bit hit or miss. On the other side, we do have a Saxon coming in. So I think you only in sea phase could have your artillery in this division, or maybe not at all. No, I think you just have the Saxons. I don't think you have anything heavier. So, but you know, it's actually quite alright. You're just, with these things, you don't really need to do counter battery, because you can move around, so you can just basically ignore what your opponent's doing. And you can just shell the front line at the end of the day. It's actually great if you have those and your opponent's doing counter battery, because again, you just keep them moving. The opponent's going to waste his time, and precious artillery on these things is not going to kill them. and you can kill off things on the front line. This thing's actually quite deadly. Like, it's a 25 pounder, and 25 pounders are really dangerous. In radio range, they do much more than you would think. It's same as for a lot of light artillery. It looks underwhelming unless you use it for close range fire support. Well, indirect fire support in radio range. Oh, true. You're right. It gets the thing that is the self-propelled long arms. Yeah, I forgot about them because I don't really use them very often, but in tournaments they're actually quite viable. For quick play, I really don't like them. Unless you're playing Maverick, because in Maverick, you're not going to run through your ammo that fast. But if you go for a balanced, arty, grindy game, they're really bad because they don't hold that much ammo. And since it's self-propelled, you can't bring ammo with it, which in quick play, in my opinion, is a big, makes a big difference. No, really, it's like we're going to, I can still cast it or something like that at some point. So that's all good. We're seeing a grindy slow game over here at the moment. Which is also exciting. I was wondering, I've never seen, but yeah, I was wondering, I've never got a message that you started, and you just wrote the matchup, then nothing, and I didn't see it, so I was quite confused, but that makes a lot more sense now. Panzerwerfer is going after the 17 pounder. Let's see if it actually does anything, because this thing, again, it's like a Nebelwerfer. Sometimes they do good work, and sometimes not so much. Also, always depends on the range. Now we're about 2,500, 2,200-ish meters. So at this range, they can still do good work. If you go more than that, it's usually quite underwhelming. Over here, the ground attack trick is needed, but I think he's probably going to get 2 full blasts off and just die. And once again, it disappoints. It did pin, but not more than that. Third line for Moobrook once again, or still, is still holding on strong over here. Suspinion over here is getting overwhelmed by 2 field engineers. Shrimpire is now coming in. That is going to change the thing, something there quite considerably. Oh, Panzer 3 versus 6 pounder. Panzer 3 is not spotted the 6 pounder yet. 6 pounder is going to finish it off. It looks damaged already. Down it goes. Cromwell here versus Shrimpire. That can actually go badly for the Cromwell since it's already been damaged. So Shrimpire goes after with the Flamer. Can actually kill it off. Desert Rats here trying to go after Shrimpire. Gets some burst off, but not killing it. Ooh, Panzer 3 killing the 6 pounder. But inflicts some damage on the Panzer 3 in return. Nice traits there for Moobrook. Now WF is still going strong down south. Like this is typical WF, and that is for good or bad. Is not giving up on these kind of pushes, which sometimes it works out way better than you would expect, because he's just brute forcing his way in sometimes, and it works. Other times, you watch him and it just doesn't work. Getting overwhelmed again by 2 assault engineers. Now these things can sometimes be quite underwhelming because of 35 points, a flamer, and then it's basically a rifle spear with a flamer slapped on top of it, and you're supposed to pay 10 points more for it. Other times it actually performs quite well. Ooh, Crusader Cromwell immediately wastes that poor Panzer 3 over there. Stuka coming in up north. Is there a Crusader? There is not, but there's some 50 cals. The man actually stopped this J7. This is the problem with all these 50 cals. They just do way too much suppression. I know some people disagree on that, but in my opinion, it's still too good. Yeah, the AT piece is dead, but he probably missed that and didn't go for it. WF had the 39 for a brief moment, but it's gone again. Field engineers, once again, controlling the forest. Panzerwerfer is reloading. Another one is coming in. 2 together definitely do good damage, like 2 150 Nebelwerfer. Those are pretty good if you combine them well. Saxon is now going in for close range fire support and doing good damage and suppression. Shrimpire forced off. This will probably get forced off quite soon as well. And Moobrook is just holding up well within his weak phase. At the moment, I think he's definitely having an advantage. He is heavily outrated WF. Is nicely just grinded down WF's push over. WF has not gotten the flak for it more than for just a brief moment. And yeah. Slow reinforcing with artillery though. But WF definitely is the one at the moment who's really trying to get push going. Moobrook's taking it a little bit slower. Of course, also because of the income. But he is preparing some assets too. So we're not going to see just a 50-minute long artillery grind. Fortunately, we're actually going to see a proper game by the looks of it. Like a Panzer engaging an Achilles. Now, the Panther is favored here. But in terms of cost, I'm not so sure if it's actually worth it. If you factor in how much the Panther costs and how much Achilles costs, and then how likely it is for the Panther to kill the Achilles and the other way around, I'm not sure if it's a good engagement, because the Achilles is actually quite cheap for what it does. The Panther, on the other hand, is definitely not. 70 Panthers are not bad either, by the way, but they will struggle a little bit depending on Panther. It is moving out of the Panzerwerfer target area. Oh, but it is in return fire. The one that we just saw firing went after this, forcing things back. Champagne pushing forward, getting the flag once again. WF now on a single tick. The problem is he doesn't have any artillery. Oh, he released it, but the 70 Panther has moved. But he doesn't have any armor to follow up on this. It was enough to surrender the Strumpire though. Not Strumpire, assault engineer. I think it was, yeah, assault engineers. 70 Panther VS fired once again, killed the half track. Did WF notice it, and is he gonna chase after it? Over here we do have a massive push by Moobrook though. WF has the Pack 40 in position though, and IH-18 is doing some nice work here as well. Are we going to see more reinforcements? Yeah, another Panzer III coming in for the close range. And, you know, anything over here can easily cover off that bridge as well. Would need some smoke plates, which we don't usually see in 1-1. Maybe we're going to see today, but I somewhat doubt it. Cromwell 6 has been penned by the Pack 40, all things. Tasmania just sitting still there at the moment. They can't really push forward. More IH-18s coming in. Looks like... No, they're not unloading, so I'm not really sure what WF is planning. If he's planning on going more defensive now, or if he's planning to keep pushing. He's getting a tick, though. And that matters, because, you know, it's not that easy to get across and get a flag. So, every second of a tick that you get doesn't matter. This thing has one HE shell left. Can it make it count? No, bounces. Wow. Saxon now going off the Pack 40 is within radio range thanks to the Cromwell with recon and radio. Not a Charity 7 coming in, but there's now a Crusader, and this is one of the triple. Well, what's this one? No, this is a Mark II. This is double. But this is a triple triple 20 mil. This one is going to pin. Yep, Charity 7 is going to get forced off. Might actually get killed. This thing does do damage, after all. Red 11 still, as things slowly slow down a little bit. Panzerwerfer sitting still, no ammo coming in for them at the moment. Which has been, oh, the position of the Crusader. Not sure if WF is aware as a Crusader. Okay, he brings the Panzerwerfer, so he's probably aware. But if the Panzerwerfer, you just don't care. Oh, there we go, we see the M12 coming in. Again, for tournament games, it's a little bit of a different story. But you can't go in, because you also don't go super RT spammy usually. At least not compared to what you see sometimes in quick play. So all of a sudden, the ammo that you have can be enough for this thing. But usually it's problematic for the queue. Also, it's only 10 rounds. So when you buy it, you need to be ready to basically buy ammo right away. Panzerguns and Strumpires coming in. The IH-18 has gotten into position. One of them did die by looks, but at least I can't see it anymore. No place in the center so far, which is quite surprising. Both players are very weak. And this just shows the typical mindset that people have, and I think everyone knows this. Either it has happened to you, or you've done this. You know, this is a bad place to push, so no one pushes because they're assuming that it's easily covered off. But sometimes they can get away with just not covering it off because no one's going to push it, because again they assume that's a bad idea to push, which it is if it's covered off. But you know, if it isn't, it's actually quite a nice place to push. The thing is, you just never know unless you push. Person says those M10, M12 long toms are amazing to me. Okay, I don't know how's the ammo situation in team games. I guess team games do have a timer, right? So it would make sense then that they're better. Because again, in my opinion, it's really just when you play the super long grindy games that are super artillery heavy that you sometimes have in the queue with balances when they're really bad. For aggressive incomes, it's all right because you still take ammo in support tab anyway, most of the times at least, and you're not going to run out of it anyway in a Maverick or Vanguard on Vanguard, okay? Or it doesn't matter, but any Vanguard on Maverick income really. And on balanced versus balanced in tournament games, most of the time you don't either. That makes them quite all right. So it's actually more a long term, but still more accurate than generic heavy. It's not a long term. Okay. But it is generally quite good. Yeah, as I said, it's still more accurate than generic heavy howitzers. That's my experience with it too. I used to be an absolute hater of these until I realized that in tournaments it's actually quite good. Because it does all you need to do. With really none of the downsides. So those kind of... The hate on them was mostly from when I still played mostly quick play unbalanced and it was just a grind fest. And for those, really it is not good. Just make sure to bring enough ammo. Most ifs that get them, pretty sure have armored ammo as well. Take RT leaders for 5 points. Half tracks. You have an amazing mobile counter battery. You don't need an RT leader. Well, I guess different things for team games. But for personally with mobile artillery in 1v1, I wouldn't bother with artillery leaders. That's me personally. Ooh, Pack 40 is being marked once again. The Panzerwerfer has also arrived to go after the Crusader. Hey, it's killed something off over here. Oh, it killed off the Saxon. That is a nice kill. Another one is coming in already. Moobrook probably has quite a few of them going. Unfortunately, it did stop the game. So we're getting to see the slow gameplay now. 13-11 from WF once again, and again, these slow ticks matter. And what's also very important is WF has a foot on the other side of the river. And he can build up a push from there. WF has one too, but it's mostly based on infantry. And he hasn't secured the bridge. I think this is the big factor over here. Pack 40 now getting focused by the 12. Probably soon gonna die, so some more reinforcements by WF desperately needed, since this kind of was holding all of this together at the moment. The Assault Engineers get spotted out by 2 IH-18s and a Panzer III. Definitely not a good fight. And gets absolutely wasted. 13-11 for WF still. The off-map has come in. And is dropping in just the right spot to give him more. Ooh, Panther has moved into a nice position where he can fight that Cromwell. Just needs to be careful to not move close in here and can do quite a bit of work over there. There's nothing really that can deal with it. Looks like some Panzerwerfer strikes have happened here as well. Or maybe another off-map. Did an off-map go down here? I don't know. Looks to me more like the strike from these guys, but might have been wrong. Unless WF has been doing the start of an off-map and then stopping it and restarting it. We've seen Koenig doing that recently in a game. It's actually quite a good hit. Another one or two of those. That's going to be really good. It's not something I've ever done before. We've seen Koenig doing this in the recent game to quite some success, and it's a really nice thing that you can do. I've never actually thought about doing this. Starting an off-map and then stopping it midway through to conserve on... So that you can turn this, which doesn't have... We can't see it, I still hate this. Which doesn't have that many call-ins. All of a sudden you can make this into a pretty powerful multi-use off-map. Just need to micro it. And actually on the Panzerwerfer, off-map's continuing on. It's an expensive one too, by the way. It's a 380mm, so it's going to be 170 points. There we go. Oh, but it was 12-12, so Moobrook actually got this flag now. The rifles were pushing up. And this is important because these are 2 half-tracks holding the flag, so if those die, it's going to be a good night. Panzerwerfer is now going after the Saxon once again. Oh, Panzergrand's coming in though, trying to build a gap over there, but Moobrook trying to equal out here a little bit. Cromwell has to fall back. 12-12 once again. Rear Assault Engineers still do the work. Now, at some point, Moobrook's going to run out of those, and this is going to be when things are going to be quite tricky for him. Then again, WF will probably not have that much CQC either. And rifles at the end of the day are better in the woods than the Panzergrand. So it's going to be quite interesting to see how this is going to play out. Ooh, this is actually nice, interesting. I didn't notice that. Yeah, it's quite thin here, so interesting line of sight there. Panzergrand doing some good work there. Cromwell 6 spotted the MG42 now, is shelling that though. Ju-88 having a go at these guys again. When we're on, there's only Crusader 2 and no other AA over here, so this can actually do... Yes, can still get in and it will still get out, so we'll get damaged a bit, but it's going to survive this. Both is now coming in for the center. that can change things quite drastically, of course. Not a J87 coming in forward at Cromwell. He's not giving up on that yet. Panzer is moving forward. It needs to be careful. The Piat is in position and it's getting dangerously close. It's getting very dangerously close. Ooh. If this was a bazooka, the Panther would beat that. I think it is in... Yeah, it should have had line of sight. I think it was just out of range. This is what it is. Ooh, Panzerwaffles are getting shelled once again and need to move. And 12 having a go with them. Artillery commanders being there. Ooh, Cromwell goes down to the Ju-87. Panther miraculously still alive. Versus Penny versus Rifle Piat. Yeah, that's not going to go super well because of the cover difference and disheartened, of course. Ju-87 still circling around. 17 Battalion are coming in over here to deal with that Panther. Panzergrands, Sturmpio's, more reinforcements coming in. Moorbrooke still on the single tick though. WF losing this flag once again. But we do see another Panzerwaffe strike. 17 Battalions target once again, but at this range it will not do much. It will scratch it, if anything. At the moment, no damage inflicted whatsoever, and looks like none will be. 37 still circling. He's going to lose it if he doesn't call it back now. His 20mm will continue to have some burst on it. There's a 50 cal over here as well. And eventually J87 is going to die. Now he's calling it back. He's going to get a final burst off. So that will probably finish it off. Doesn't look like it. It's probably going to survive. Sex now counter battery 2 Panzerwaffe is moving out of position, out of the area. And this thing is armored, so that helps a lot. Bofus has been coming in, but it might just not be in the right spot. We're going to switch up north again afterwards because there's looks like there's some action there. Bofus is helping. J88 is turning the right way, so it's most likely going to get out. Once again, doing a lot of damage over here. Now, one thing that you shouldn't underestimate is the damage that is inflicted to the units. Even if it doesn't kill the unit, just damaging it for the other units to come in and kill them off is sometimes all you need to do. Panzer III goes down to the Saxon. I mean, these things are really deadly. They're so accurate, and they will kill tanks in radio range, as we've just seen. It's not just on that occasion. Another op-up coming in. Based on the big craters, I would assume it probably did go off, but I might be wrong. Ooh, IH-18 has a go at the Cromwell once again. Not sure if that's going to work. Domco says, I reckon the M2s have 2-3 kilometer less max range or similar, so very comparable performance. I guess so, since, I mean, the actual max range for these kind of artillery pieces are quite a bit more than what you have here on the map anyway. So, realistically, it's probably not going to make that much of a difference. Bofus has now moved up, so another bombing run will either be stopped or the plane is going to die. WF has spotted the 17 pounder, so that's going to get killed off now. Some infantry pushing in. I do think WF has been very conservative with it, but he's still using quite a bit of infantry, so he might be running short eventually. Panzer III N, oh, in a nice position here to do some fire support. Love to see that. Trimpanier, I think they will win against his old engineers. This one has 7 health, but this one is only 1. This one will get forced off. This is where the battle varied fight really shows quite some difference. So unless this has for some reason 2 call-ins, WF really did stop it and start it again. Yeah, 2v1 is no question. No kill. Just needs to be careful not to walk into it now. Oh, Panzer III N versus all the Cromwells over there. It's actually bouncing, gets a load of wounded in return. It's continuing on. Yeah, AP's turned off. It's using just a heat shell. This thing is, wow, super tanky here. He kills one of the Cromwell. Finally gets taken out. Wow, this thing survived for quite some time. Off-map was cancelled, putting down here again to get this flag again. 39 for WF as he got this flag, and he got this one back with some Panzergrenadiers there. Wow, that's quite insane. From casting all these games, how much are you able to take from these and apply them in your own games? To be honest, if I played more, probably a lot. Since I don't play that much anymore ever since I started casting, not that much actually. There's always some, like, there's some neat tricks that I learn and try to apply, like the off-map. And like such, I think the thing that I do use most are some units that I thought I underestimated. And then once I saw them, like, okay, maybe I'm gonna give this a try. Sometimes some strategies, like you see some moves that I copy and try them myself. And I think most of what I take away are, I think, the macro gameplay that some of these top players do use. Because I think that is what made the biggest difference for me. Of course, my micro was never like super good, but I think it was good. But where I really need to improve and to get better was the macro, and I think that definitely got better ever since I started casting. You can take a lot away from these things, and not just from what they do, but also from what they fail at doing. Like when in the first game, no, not first, sorry, second, third, between Emil and Koenig, when we saw Emil pushing multiple areas and just failing ever so slightly ever, because it was always outnumbered after the American come from Koenig. This is one of the biggest ones. Like things like that are things I learn as well from these casts that I really do apply myself. So it's some lessons that you learn from watching these games, and you see what's happening, what's going wrong. But what also needs to be said, in my opinion, a lot of the macro things need some time and some getting. Like you need some experience with the game to learn this. One thing that I still struggle with learning that I can't learn from these casts, because you need to be able to see it, and either you do or you don't. You can learn it, that's not the thing, but one of the things I still struggle with and can't really learn from those casts, even though I try, is to decide how I most efficiently have the right unit at the right place always. If you watch some of these top players, they always have the exact right unit for the moment that does just what it needs, and it is more efficient than other combinations of units that you could buy. Sometimes maybe not in the moment, but in the long run. Like if the unit is enough for the moment and is enough for a few minutes to come. And this is one of the most impressive things about some of these top players that I try to copy whenever watching these games, but just struggle doing so. Thanks for answering. I always wanted I can imagine both for different ball games. But there's a lot you can learn, but as I said, you need to practice as well, and this is where I struggle at the moment. Because at the end of the day, like the way I edit it is a very lazy way, admittedly, right? And not like super skillfully and crazy edits. So it's not going to take super long, but it's still taking time away from playing. And at the end of the day, I also, play some other games with friends sometimes. So this is actively taking time away from playing Steel Division myself. So it's harder to practice things. And I think that's why learning from these for me is limited. But I think theoretical knowledge has gotten way better. Definitely. For that, you just need to watch all the casts and see how I've been talking about things there. I do understand a lot more of what's happening now than I used to. And this is something that you can directly apply to your games. You get a feeling for these kind of things. It's more like you get a feeling for what to watch out for, I think. That is, even if you can't copy a lesson one-to-one, getting a feeling and understanding for how certain things work is already a big game changer. Big kill here on the Panther. My staffing was effectively holding back some of the crumbles over here, although Firefly 17-pounder is a very strong call. One of the 38mm off-maps going down, 380mm off-maps going down. I'm not sure if it's the one that has been used or not. That could have been a very huge kill for Moobrook or not. Really depending a lot. Panzerwerfer is doing big strike again, moving. Nice macro there by WF. Fertland for Moobrook with a push up north, and is a massive tank for Soviet. I mean, we can clearly see, I think WF has been outtraded by Moobrook early on, but Moobrook hasn't really turned that into a push, which I think was a mistake on his part. He could have done it, but probably just didn't see the opportunity. This is one of those things that you just, sometimes it's very easy to get a feeling for how much you've outraded your opponent. Sometimes it's kind of hard to get a feeling for it, especially with WF's playstyle of continuously keeping up the pressure. WF does not let loose. And I think that can very easily lead to Moobrook feeling like, he's not traded that well. He's still constantly pressured, but it's really the playstyle rather than the trades. Max Range does always matter. It does matter, yes, but if the range that you're shooting at, it matters for the accuracy, and that's one thing that matters. But if the range that you're actually shooting at on the map is much shorter than the max range, then certain differences in the max range don't have that big of an effect anymore. It's still there. It's not that it isn't there, but it's not as massive as if it would be for some artillery pieces with shorter range. Because the difference in percentage of max range to range you're actually using at can be much larger if you have shorter range artillery pieces. Whereas if the longer range one, it's not that big most of the time. Like you can see that with a lot of the 150 caliber artillery piece. There's better ones and there's worse. Like the long tom is no doubt better, but even the Sherman 150 is still good. Like the Sherman 150 it's not a long tom, but it still performs fairly decently, and the same goes for the M12. It's not a long tom, but it still performs quite well regardless. So this is why I'm saying that it is less of an effect there. This back and forth game, anyone can win this. It scales linearly with range. Well, but it would still make a difference on percentage then, right? Between max range and the range you're actually shooting at. But that's my point. More units coming in. And the Ju-88 coming in as well. Probably gonna get stopped again. Crusader is only arriving. The Both is not in the right spot, but it's not gonna make it out. Pretty sure of that. It's gonna get a full. Oh, this one is actually out of ammo. Maybe it's gonna make it out. That's gonna get a full burst off. So it's one of those cases where maybe getting in is not that good. Big strike once again though. Bring it back to 12 Earth. Panzergren can move forward, surrender it. If he does, that's a big thing. If he does. I need to Domko. I would need to check. That's something good to do maybe after the stream. There's an artillery table. Someone got the actual data from the game files, and we could check there. If you have it, by the way, or if you know where you can find it, it's a really good tool. I can recommend anyone. I get this very often from Platypus Bill and Curb. Well, actually, there's a lot of things that from, looking at the stats, or also sometimes the performance, which sometimes can be misleading, even though it's what happens in the game, but it really depends on the situation, and might lead you to one conclusion on some units. And then you look into the stats and it's actually quite a little bit different. So that's actually sometimes quite useful. And there's a sheet for penetration drop-off with tanks. There's one with actual suppression and damage from small arms, and all these kind of things. Is really good. And one is for artillery. Those are really good. Like in Wargame where the fire rates, that is completely fake. Well, here it is as well. Kinda. It is true, but it's also wrong. And television is also not entirely true, because what it shows you maybe the fire rate, but here's the thing: you have the weapons in television fire in bursts, and so they do fire in bursts. Oof. I think that's it. I mean, it looks like WF is beaten. Morbrook has that trade in constantly, just needs to do one concisive push over here. Or over here. But yeah, so we just deal with that J7. I mean, if Morbrook doesn't push, the J7 can start doing a lot of damage, but he doesn't necessarily need to deal with it, he just needs to push, basically. Is this just ammo consumption per minute like in Wargame? I don't actually know how it works, how it works with ammo consumption, these things, but maybe it's a hypothetical. Oh, Panzerwerfer goes down to counter battery, really bad. I think it's just the fire rate in principle of how fast the gun can actually fire, but I might be wrong. But what matters in Why it matters, just to explain that. I do have it. I do have all those Excel sheets that are really Google Docs sheets that are really useful. But how it actually works is you do have, so the weapons fire in bursts, and you have times between those bursts, and they're not the same length for everything. Also, not every burst has the same amount of shots, so different weapons have different burst durations. Some fire 3 shots, some 5. Then you have, again, the pause break between the bursts, and then you have a reload time as well, which is also different. And then you add all of these together, and sometimes a weapon that on paper, like there's a good example where I didn't know for the longest time that actually was a difference, is the American M1919A1 or something like that, I think. You know, the LMG. This thing on paper in Steel Division looks like the same performance as an MG34. In reality, it's actually quite a bit weaker. But if you just look on the stat card in the game, it looks like it is basically the same thing. But because of that, those factors in there, it isn't, and it's actually worse. So it's one of the good examples for it. Another thing that is important to note is, which isn't factored in here as well. You look at the suppression stat, right? So we can use any of these guys. You see a suppression here per shot. However, this has to do with accuracy. So if you want to know the actual performance, rate of fire is one thing, and if you add all of these together, this is going to matter. But damage is also factored in there, because damage affects, and damage is also linked to accuracy. So if you want to get the full picture, you need to get all these calculations done to assess how effective a weapon really is, and then you have to take into account all the difference with burst durations, break between bursts, all these kind of things. And there's an Excel where all of this has been done. I would be too lazy to be honest, but Laffy-chan is the name of the guy who does this. He gets it from the game files and does all this really amazing Google Doc sheets. And yeah, then you can get an accurate reading of how good a gun actually is. So the fire rate, I think, is really coded in as a stat, but it's just not the only thing that matters. That's what it comes down to. And yeah, why I was talking about damage is damage also does suppression. So just looking at suppression doesn't really, like, some guns have worse suppression than another one, but do more damage. And if you factor in the damage that comes, the suppression that comes in from the damage as well, they end up being a little bit better than another one, for example. Yeah, I later found out that the MG08 is like the worst MG in the game. I knew it was bad, but that card looked okay. Yeah, it's horrible. And the problem is that the stat card doesn't tell you this, and it can actually be quite misleading. Now, what you can go by with most of the times is really what you feel how a unit performs. So if you play different units, and you kind of get a feeling of how they perform, what they do and what they can't do, and this usually is enough to assess the effectiveness of a unit. But the problem is, you don't know unless you've played all of them a little bit. Like, you need to get some experience with it, and then they're good. Right, so over here it looks like the Panzerwehr is doing a good job at just preventing Mulbrook from pushing. He's in the lead. Mulbrook needs to push at some point. His lead is very thin, and WF can actually, you know, with some artillery strikes, he can maybe get this flag or this flag back and get another tick. So it's very dangerous for Mulbrook. Mulbrook has far superior forces. Now the tank blob is coming. There we go. As I was going to say, this thing can stop it, but not forever. Especially not the tank pusher is so fast like Cromwell's. So this needs to happen, and now it happens. Yeah, he only needs to hold for 5 minutes, but the problem is, so does WF. And any flag that WF gets, like here, it's immediately going to stop that. So if Mulbrook had waited with this push and WF had gotten this flag, managed to keep it for a bit, it could have actually meant that WF would eventually win the game just because Mulbrook failed to push, right? Still 12-12, so if WF, for example, managed, which I don't think, by the looks of this, to get this flag back, WF's going to get a tick. And if he can just hold the 12-12, he can still win. So Mulbrook really needs Like, it's going to be quite close and much more than would be necessary, which is why I said that Moobrook definitely needs to get on the aggressive now, which he does. I mean, there's so many Cromwells, he can overwhelm everything. So now he probably doesn't know what's there, but he should probably have a feeling for him trading well. And he has, you know, a better income. It's not by a lot, but it is noticeable. J87 getting forced off once again. WF just very slow now. Shumpire has been pushed back, but now is coming in. Should easily win against his sword engine. That could give him another flag once again. But he's not going to get another one by the looks of it. So that's going to make all the difference over here. Panzer IV is very close. The problem is the rifle spear can easily kill that at this distance. Not a lot more tanks coming. One more Panzer IV. We're probably arriving a little bit too late. At least this one. Now this one still probably arrive here to make a difference, but these might be a little bit too late. Recon coming in over here. There we go. Fight was one shrimp on here. If it can just smoke it, it's safe from the Firefly. And then can move up and get the flag right there. Now we do no Cromwell's coming over here. No center push. Moobrook still holding back. At this point I would just send them here and see if something's there. If there is, you know, there's no counter push coming anyway. And if there isn't, great for you. You get something out of it. Over here, there we go. See, shouldn't I taking this again? If this has happened earlier, and Moobrook hadn't pushed here, WF could be winning now. So this is why it was so crucial for Moobrook to actually push. He still have done it, but maybe, you know, maybe taking some time and whatnot, I could have been a little bit too close. And the fact that Moobrook stopped here again means that, you know, this can happen. The Panzerwerfer can get value again. Somebody just died over here. Whatever was here was deleted. And the Pack 40 is getting deleted now as well. Cromwell 5 doing the work there. There we go. Everything on the run. More Cromwells coming in though, so the flag is going to stick with Moobrook, who has gotten this one back with the rifle spear pushing forward. Another Panzer A coming in. Yeah, the Cromwell... Oh, the Firefly on the other hand. That is the right tool to deal with. Panzer takes out the Cromwell. Gonna get shot at by the Firefly. It's gonna bounce though. And... landing... Nope, no pen. Oh, this is quite a far distance. So this distance, you can't expect more than pinning. Although, you know, if there's enough things here, you're going to kill something eventually. Panzer IV getting in close. Cromwell is stressed out. Like, Maisha Spirit Cap. There's no AT gun or anything here to... either that Panzer IV or is it Cromwell, though? Which got taken out. Back to 12-12, but I don't see where WF is going to get another flag. This one here, maybe, but there's more assault engineers here. I think the window of opportunity for WF has just gone, unfortunately for him. We would have had more Sturmpires here. We would have needed to bring them, which it didn't. Pushing over here again. It looks like the offer that got killed was really the one that did matter. GG's. I mean, Moobrook is going to take it. Oh, actually, WF. But that's not going to be enough. And it's a very thin hold. Yeah, it's just half tracks and they're going to get killed by Piats. But yeah, so it looks like the right off-map fight for Moobrook. The wrong one for WF. Because I think with how long Moobrook waited, this could have actually lost him the game, despite him being vast superior. But I think Moobrook plays... this is the kind of play you would expect in a quick play. Like, look at the amount of artillery that Moobrook built up. Look at how well it's doing. Look at that. It's about 15 seconds to go now. And... Moobrook will take that win and move into the finals. So this is a semi-finals game. I don't know who won between Koenig and Lisek, but whoever wins will have to face Moobrook. That much is for sure. And congratulations. GG's. And for every one of you watching, just another reminder, if you enjoy what you see, the players do play for your entertainment to hopefully make you donate to charity. I do the same with casting, bring those games to you. So if you enjoy what you see, please check out the link in the description down below and do donate to cause Action Against Hunger, which is good thing to do. And hopefully we can collect a little bit more. I have to check how many people have donated. So let me open up the link. Oh no, I saw it just in time, Morbrook. Okay, we're still lagging a little bit behind because 2 people who said they donated haven't come through. But at the moment it's 6 people, and then 2 more who said they donated. So please, guys, we're at 8 at the moment. We can do better than this. Show that the Steel Division community is there for good things. And yeah, congratulations, Morbrook. Looking forward to see you in the finals tomorrow. The trade difference was not actually as big as I would have expected, although I think that's mostly due to the late push by Morbrook, which cost him a lot. Oh, okay, it just doesn't show you for me, but I can only see the public site. I can't see the... You probably see more than I do. All good, first name, last name. Thanks for donating anyway. Morbrook was the best of 1. That's a good question. I would assume so. I haven't heard anything different. Oh, look at that. That Cromwell really saved Morbrook there. Because that push, if the Cromwell had died, that push would have been absolutely devastating. Okay, so maybe it just is lagging behind. We're going to see tomorrow. Another Cromwell doing exceptionally well. Wow. Look at those. Very often, outside of the speed they get, they're not that overwhelming, but jeez, these guys. Look at them go. Just look at them. They actually did good work. Yeah, it did some killing too. But it's actually more frontliners than just, oh, this one. That is so much value. That's like, I think 200 and that 370 points wasted by 1 sexton. Whew. You don't like to see that if you're on the receiving end. On the other side, not. J87 actually killed 2 Cromwells, which is impressive. Considering that is just a bomber. And then Panzer III Pack 40 did some work. The Panzer Werfer did some damage, but not as much as we would expect. The off-map did do a little bit of work too. Not that much though. J88, another off-map. And some more Pack 40s and Panzer IVs, but not as impressive as we would have expected. Nothing here really standing out except for that 1 Panzer IV here, which was at the very end where Morbrook was just brute forcing his way in. But yeah, great game. Well played by both players. So I do want to watch that as well, but I'm gonna do. I have to give you a little bit of spoiler now by checking out who won, so they can announce that for you, so that you know what you're going to see tomorrow. So tomorrow at around 1400. Oh, actually depends on when if Koenig is in the finals, because he said he's going to be available only at 1800. So maybe it's going to move to the evening. Let me check. Just a second, I'm busy. I need to see who won. Oh, congratulations to Lisek. So tomorrow we're going to see Lisek versus Morbrook in the finals. This is, no offense to anyone, not what I would have expected. I would have expected Gonzo and, you know, Lisek maybe. So Lisek, Panzer, Emil Koenig, I would have expected all of those, but I would not have expected Morbrook in the finals at all. And not because he's bad, but just because Gonzo. I would have expected Gonzo, but he probably just trolled. We're going to watch that game tomorrow. Fortunately, we know all the things already. So let me now check. There's a little bit of confusion. Okay, so just a little heads up for everyone who's still in the chat. It looks like we might have to change time on tomorrow's finals game. So instead of giving you a fixed time now, since it's still a little bit debatable, since people have some different needs in real life. I'm just gonna announce in time, so either at some point this evening, if we got it fixed up everything, or tomorrow morning at some point, I will make an announcement both on YouTube and on Discord, and then of course you will see when the stream is scheduled as well. Once I have that done, and then you will know at what times it will be. Somewhere in the afternoon or evening in Europe. I can't give you more precise times. It really depends on how scheduling between Lizek and Moobrook is going to be done. But thanks for watching. Once again, do consider donating if you enjoyed what you've seen. Even just $5 does make a difference and brings us closer to our goal. And thank you for watching. Whether you donated or not, it's nice to have you here. And it's nice to be back with some streaming again, and hope to do that more and more once again. So that is it for me from me for today. See you all again tomorrow. Thanks for watching again, and have a good night.